robbed by a gun. Holy, cause that is what they promise we. A lot's going on in the sun. So I come here to bring wisdom, so we don't burn down. We lovely society. See, a new government has the assignment to put we country into alignment. But every time they read us with their ego, it's the vulnerable who feeling that below. Lord, is it ignorance or is it arrogance? I don't know what to call it in this instance. Look at paradise right in front we eyes, but we still want to talk about who we despise.
Tell me where else can we go?
If we start to mash up the good things we know.
Tell me where else can we go?
If we treat we traditions like a Barbie show, you could fix everything on we island. Put gunships on we back like a tyrant. You could put 10 radars all up Scarborough. But don't forget,
this is Trinidad.
We love we freedom, and every citizen will agree that no oppression will be accepted by our Trini. We come from long days on the ground, working hard until daylight come, so we'll see it wrong to be a financial donkey. Cause every day we see a new taxation that causing a new kind of sufferation. And when you don't create that irritation, you send police to fix with desperation. Lord, where's the common sense? Where's the true intent to make you think oppression is relevant? Don't be shocked, my friend, when we start to bend and you see them placards in front of the parliament.
Tell me where else can we go?
If we little children are not free to grow.
Tell me where else can we go?
If they try to ban the words in the calypso, you could try to stop social media or the taping of police murders. You could rewrite a bill like this also. But don't forget, this is Trinidad. Take one and look around. Even lingo and all could see confusions in tongue, and it's affecting everybody. Politicians and Facebook trolls, even Caisonians lost their role. The world's upside down, and I'm worried for my country. Cause every day I see victimization, racial and social aberration. We saying is love and need to go wrong, but we spreading this thing like a toxin. Man, things getting so tense, some can't pay their rent, and the effect of this feeling permanent. But what scares me though, just so that you know, is the money we about to borrow.
Tell me where else can we go?
If the IMF start to pull we toe.
Tell me where else can we go?
If we toilet paper start to run too low, you could stress out the pepper worker. Take a fool and make him a leader. You could change every board cause it's your show. But don't forget, this is Trinidad. I know it's good intentions we Prime Minister have for we, but brutal measures would only cause rebellion in TNT, like what caused Cambule in times of old. And it's so the story unfold. It's that rebellion that give we people identity. So careful how you deal with we intellect, 'cause DNA remembers every aspect. Not every time we cry it's just politics. Your mind could start to play you some dirty tricks. Look, remember that honor comes before minister, and that's why we give you so much power. So don't let us down and don't let us frown. We need to see our 360 turn around.
Tell me where else can we go?
If your promises start to look untrue,
Tell me where else can we go?
if your own voters losing trust in you, you could do what you want with what intent. You could bat up the independent bench. You could change the country that we once know. But don't forget, this is Trinidad.
Final Hour Christian Ministries invites you to their annual Visitors Day service. End of days. Where are we in 2026? On Saturday, April 25th, 2026 at 11 a.m. Mandela Hall Center of Excellence with Pastor Mackenzie and the Final Hour family. See you there. Coming soon to Constructive Talk Network, Critical Thinkers. It's a youth show with a youth perspective on current affairs and issues in Trinidad and Tobago. Critical Thinkers, youth perspective on Constructive Talk. Well, good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to those of you locked on to Constructive Talk. It is Wednesday the 15th of April 2026. And this evening, I have a guest that's going to be joining me very soon. Very, very soon. He's going to be on with me. So I think I need you to get your sharing finger on the go. So what I want you to do is to share the live. Tell somebody that they need to be a part of what's happening this evening on Constructive Talk. All right. So remember, you can join me on YouTube and tell your friends and family members wherever in the world they are. You can tell them to jump onto the live and be a part of what's happening. You know, it's important that we carry on the discussion and inform, educate. I wonder if you are realizing how much importance this program is. How important this program is. Why I say that today, I was looking at the news. I listened to the press conference, the opposition press conference. I listened to the news, and my goodness, everything we talked about on Constructive Talk was in the news and in the press conference, and it's happening. It's going on. It's talk. It's current affairs. It's relevant. Constructive Talk, man, is the platform to be on. It's the platform to share and tell your friends about.
I said, give me a F, and let them know that is the code. Oh Lord, some say the code is this, some tell me it's that, but I go hear the facts. Give me the experiencing a global phenomenon. With serious issues, mankind choose to fool around. Then they go find out, facing real consequences, that when you play goatish games, you win foolish prizes. the mighty US of A. Look how them in disarray, because they forget the first dose of MAGA madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T. to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize where's the fate, enough of them want to change the vote, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, you see the FA, now they go FO. Plenty immigrants made their choice. Uncle Donald they supporting, but he put their support on ice and themselves he start deporting. FA, FO, I said the FA, now they go FO. But now Donald breaks in because it now so keen. He naming the Epstein files, so they now studying like they're voting a presidential pedophile. FA, FO, I said the FA. Now they got FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Even Uncle Sam will find out that what's so in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout FA, FO, I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. Oh, say, can you see? You see the call? Come in. Trinidad love all fours, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily their clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene, scandalize the land and destroy we economy. But like we missed the free for all, incompetence and bubble, so we bring them back to finish mash up the country. And as they assume their roles, I set a square peg in wrong holes. Now plenty people who help them win at the polls. Feel the FA, FO, they say the FA, now they go FO. The two worst Alexanders in the world and team make ministers. One is a racist troll and one need a West Indian first primer. FA, FO, I said the FA, now we go FO. Meanwhile Tanti setting up TNT in people worship where we in place. She should have let the Yankee army plant the radar in shipping palace. FA, FO, I said the FA.
Alright, Trinidad and Tobago, so as I promised you, I have a guest that's joining me this evening, and he is on the line. Good evening, Commander Dindial. How are you? Okay.
Yes.
Alright, so let's go again. Good evening, Commander Dindial. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear now.
Good evening to you and your viewers and listeners to wherever they may be.
It's a long time we haven't had you on the program. I know that you were busy. You know, you're a man. I know that you know, if it's one thing I could say about you, you are always aware of what is happening. You're making sure you are in the loop, and you are always you know, making your presence and your thoughts felt and known. And I want to say to you that is a good trait to have as a political leader, especially of the NTA, because, you know, people right now are looking for hope, you know, Commander Dindial.
Yes. I totally understand that. And as I said to you before, you know, when you had me on some of your programs, you know, I try to be apolitical when I'm speaking of some of these things, but sometimes, you know, the political hat has to come on, and it's, you know, to inform the public and the wider listening audience, especially those in Trinidad and Tobago that are not really aware of the depths of international and global standings of where it puts us. And you see, I have been a bit busy because I've been focusing not on these, you know, these small issues that we have, and then I mean, there are issues, but you know, these issues where we have Sean Sobers talking about seasickness and the CARICOM stuff, and I was focusing a bit more on the global issues, you know, this war in Iran and what is taking place. And one of my latest articles that I did, and nobody's looking at it, and nobody's looking at the pumps right now. All over the world, Trinidad and Tobago purchases fuel. We do not produce fuel anymore. We purchase our fuel. And all over the world, all the economies are suffering from a fuel shortage. And not even a fuel shortage is that's causing the price at the pumps to go up. You're seeing it in Europe. You're seeing it all over in Pakistan. You're seeing it in Asia. You ever wonder why the price at the pumps has not increased yet? Or has there been an increase and the subsidies have been absorbed by the government right now? But later on, it has to show somewhere. Where's the money coming from? Why we haven't seen that increase in the pumps in Trinidad and Tobago yet? Today, we had a little shock where there was news coming out of Guyana stating that Guyana is having a little fuel shortage. And people in Trinidad and Tobago were panic buying today. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, I was not. It wasn't in the news. I didn't see it in the news this evening.
Yeah, wasn't in the news this evening. You see, that's because the local media is not keeping abreast of what is happening internationally, and neither is people looking at the pumps or looking at it, seeing that when the figure increases by 5 cents, 6 cents, 10 cents. So fuel, I think today was at $7.75. I think for premium.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know how I know how some of us are aware, but you see with jet fuel, when Caribbean Airlines said that they have to put on taxes, they have to add they have to raise the prices on certain on flights and or on a fuel surcharge was a fuel surcharge of $15 was implemented on tickets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's going to. But that fuel, we purchase all our fuel. So all the fuel that you see right now at our pumps that we are using is coming in. We are paying at the international price, at the increased price. But the government so far has not made the increase felt by the consumers, and that is by design. You have to recognize why. Remember, this is the year in review, and in the year in review, you don't want to, and you just went into a budget that you're coming and say, oh, reduce the fuel price by $1. But now you're going and increase it by $2. I don't think it will augur well for them at all. So they're holding it under. They're holding it under the belt. But this seems is how long you can keep that pressure, because you are not able to sustain that pressure for a long time. And we are not seeing our government ministers or the Prime Minister actually talking about the real things that are concerning the people of Trinidad and Tobago right now in the global economy. We see Mia Motley going about and doing this, and Mia Motley is outside there talking about things that is going to affect her citizens. We talking about all kind of nonsense here in Trinidad.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm sorry, sir, for jumping the gun. Let's jump in right into it.
And that's good. That just brings us right to what I invited you on, because you're hearing. You see, Commander Dindial, I listen to the news. I try to keep myself abreast with what's going on in the news and stuff like that. And yesterday, we found out about these Islamic groups and what the government is planning to do or what they have already done. But I listened to the latter part of the news where you would have made your views heard, and I said I wanted to get you on for you to share with Trinidad and Tobago and why you would have taken that position, or educate us on the position that a lot of us may not be aware of. So what I want to do first of all is to play the news clip, right? Play the news clip, and then from the news clip, I wanted to engage you in you sharing with us your position on these Islamic groups and stuff like that. Okay?
Sure.
All right. So let me play the clip for those of you who missed it in the news yesterday. So I'm going to play it.
Several Muslim groups are meeting over the state's decision to designate 3 major Middle Eastern paramilitary and political organizations as terrorist entities.
In a significant national security development, the High Court ordered the freezing of all local property associated with Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps under provisions of the Anti-Terrorism Act.
We understand the move triggered a meeting of several entities, particularly Shia groups within Trinidad and Tobago. We've been told the group will issue a formal statement on the developments.
Meanwhile, Dr. David Mohammed said his organization, Nation of Islam, has long-standing religious and ideological engagement with Iran and Shia Muslim communities, and he's defending those relationships.
Dr. Mohammed is also the Trinidad and Eastern Caribbean representative of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan Group. He described these ties as part of broader international Islamic solidarity and outreach rather than political alignment. Dr. Mohammed confirmed that the organization maintains cultural and religious connections with Shia Muslim groups both in this country and abroad. He also noted participation in shared religious events and exchanges, including recent Ramadan events at the Kwame Ture Center in Laventille involving Iranian-linked guests.
We as an organization have a very close relationship with Iran as a country and also the Shiite Muslim community. As a matter of fact, at our headquarters, we had one day where we had a joint iftar with our brothers and sisters in the Shiite Muslim community, and we had as a guest an imam who's based in Iran.
In a sharply contrasting position, Islamic Front Representative Umar Abdullah condemned the government's designation, questioning both its justification and its relevance to Trinidad and Tobago. He further argued that the decision reflects external geopolitical pressure rather than domestic necessity.
These groups that was named by this government have no connections with Trinidad. These groups are Shia groups, and there is a sort of ideological difference between the Shia and the Sunnis.
Meanwhile, the group Concerned Muslims of TNT is challenging government's move to freeze assets linked to designated terrorist organizations, questioning whether the same legal standard would be applied to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he were to enter this country. Speaking to CNC3 News, Public Relations Officer Imtiaz Mohammed called on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to clarify whether her administration would act on an arrest warrant reportedly issued by the International Criminal Court for Netanyahu.
A warrant has been issued by the ICC for Israel PM Netanyahu. I would like to ask our PM, would she and her government have him arrested if he ever set foot in Trinidad and Tobago?
While stating that they do not support terrorism, the group contended that the government's actions appear aligned with United States and Israeli foreign policy interests. It warned that such measures risk stigmatizing Muslims both locally and internationally.
Now, numerous attempts to reach Defense Minister Wayne Sturge and Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Sean Sobers on this latest development have been futile. However, one government senator says the Attorney General is expected to provide further details over the state's decision.
While David Naked backed the move, other senators expressed mixed sentiments. Jesse Ramdale has the story.
Government Senator David Naked says more details will come from the Attorney General following government's recent move to blacklist 3 international organizations as terrorist entities. The orders published in the Trinidad and Tobago Gazette mark one of the most significant use of the Anti-Terrorism Act under the current UNC administration. The decision, which triggered an immediate freeze on any local assets linked to Hezbollah, Hamas and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, sparked reaction from senators on all sides, as well as questions from the public.
People will make their own judgments either way. Either way, and they will do what they have to do, and the AG will give you the information that you need in in subsequent time.
CNC3 News sent questions to Attorney General John Jeremy inquiring what would have prompted the move. We're still awaiting his response. But meantime, Naked also endorsed government's decision.
My position is the government is always with the government.
While backing the move, opposition senator and former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi says the legal framework for such action has long existed. But Al-Rawi warns that listing organizations is only part of the fight.
But the purpose of listing is so that it's known in our courts and that you can freeze assets and deal with individuals that money is flowing through. What is missing is witness protection. What is missing is anonymous witness evidence. What is missing is the use of CCTV camera evidence. What is missing is the Crown prosecution model that we have created.
Independent Senator Sophia Chote is raising concerns about possible unintended consequences, particularly for humanitarian support.
I don't know what evidence was provided for these groups to be deemed terrorist organizations. My concern is this, that people who donate to charitable organizations for victims of the genocide in Gaza and victims of war should not be deprived because their charitable organizations are considered to be terrorist organizations.
Pressed on safeguards, Chote added that victims should not be penalized. Jesse Ramdale, CNC3 News.
Meanwhile, the decision to blacklist Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Lebanon's Hezbollah has received differing views from local security stakeholders. On CNC3's Morning Brew program today, former National Security Minister Gary Griffiths said he agreed with the government's decisions, noting they were necessary to prevent terrorist attacks. He also believes that having these groups classified as terrorist organizations would also assist in preventing financing of these groups.
That is why we have to be very careful. That is why the importance of the FIU working with other financial intelligence agencies to know that Hezbollah, ISIS, or whoever, they are not putting funds into an organization or an individual.
However, retired Lieutenant Commander Norman Dindial, in a social media post, was critical of the decision, noting the decision lacks legal foundation. He explained the IRGC was a legitimate army and not a terrorist organization.
The IRGC is a constituted army of a United Nations member state and cannot be reclassified as a terrorist group without violating core principles of international law. This policy does not make Trinidad and Tobago safer.
Dindial also raised concern over the basis for such a decision, as he was worried that it would make TNT a client state in other countries' conflicts.
Well, in light of these latest
Commander Dindial.
Sir.
I wanted to hear your take on this. You heard the news items, right?
Yeah, I heard that both. Are you getting a feedback?
No. You're good there.
Okay. Yeah, I heard both news items, both on TV6 and CNC3. I contributed to both of those items. First of all, what I should say and remind the public, the listening public, is that you would have varying views on these things, but you have to take the international view. You have individuals here from Trinidad and Tobago that are speaking as, Trinidad and Tobago, third world country. We here in just this little part of the hemisphere. But you have to recognize that once we're in the international scheme of things, and you're dealing with the United Nations, we deal with an international law base, an international rule system. And that's what the UN is. And I know a lot of people say the UN is a toothless bulldog. The UN is just there and big bully mandates of what they can do or what they can say. But at the end of the day, we have subscribed to the United Nations. And I just want to bring, to focus our listeners to, what the purpose of the United Nations is. And do you remember, sir, when I spoke about the UN Charter?
Yes, I remember.
And the UN Charter, once you are part of the UN Charter is a statute of the International Court of Justice. And so once you're part of the UN, you are automatically put yourself under the laws of the ICJ. And I don't think people understand that, they don't understand that as a United Nations Charter, once you signed up to it, and the statute of the International Court of Justice. That's part of it. So you're there, the International Court of Justice is what you are. The ICC is a different thing, right? The International Criminal Court. And we know that the US is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court. And the United States don't even look at the law of the sea or anything that in the United Nations the treaties and sign. But we have to recognize first, and I just want to remind people, what was the charter about, and it goes, I'll just read the first two paragraphs, which is important. We, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women and nations large and small, and to establish conditions under which justice and respect for obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained, and to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. And for these ends, to practice tolerance, live together in peace and with one another as good neighbors, and to unite our strength to maintain international peace and security. Now it goes on, but I want you to, remember what that says. So we have signed on the international rules-based system. We can't be taking it arbitrarily and saying, listen, we at some point in time, the United Nations, we follow the United Nations and international law, and other times we don't. And that's why I base my premise of the United Nations have not designated Hamas, Hezbollah, or the IRGC as a terrorist organization. They have, in fact, designated ISIL and ISIS and Al-Qaeda as terrorist organizations, and they have them on a sanctions list. And the way they deal with the UN deals with this is through sanctions and the sanctions regime, which is things that you can do. And sanctions people, they have sanctioned people, their movement, freeze their assets and these things. So you have individual assets and individual persons. Now, the Hamas, Hezbollah, and the IRGC have not met any of the thresholds or the criteria by the United Nations, which are the only abiding body that can designate an organization or a state internationally and then bring them to bear from the ICJ and the ICC, where you can have sanctions. And this is what I'm saying, and this is what I'm saying to you. So the thing where we as Trinidad and Tobago know that this does not disbar sovereign states from blacklisting countries or saying that these countries are terrorist organizations. But that's where it gets, it gets ticklish, because there's no definition or clear definition of what a terrorist is or a terrorist organization. Now, the UN has a definition, and the Council resolution, and let me see if I remember resolution, 1566. 1566 Security Council resolution is the definition of terrorist acts, right? And that, the main thing about a definition of terrorist acts is intimidating, to intimidate a population or compelling a government to act. So it is a terrorist act and criminal acts, including committed with the intent to cause death or injury or hostage taking, aimed at intimidating a population or compelling a government to act. So there's the United Nations definition is there, which tells you what they will use to declare a terrorist organization. Now, or terrorist organization, terrorist state. Those are the kind of thresholds that were used, right, in order to designate ISIS, ISIL, and Al Qaeda. Now there's a whole process in order to designate a state or an organization, a terrorist element, and that falls squarely upon the shoulders of the Security Council, where the member states themselves will submit a proposal to the Sanctions Committee.
Okay.
So member states, so all the member states will support a proposal. Says the member states, which are the 173 states, will. So let's say they have a group. Let's call the group Green Bucket, and they want to say Green Bucket is they want to make Green Bucket a terrorist organization. They will submit that proposals to the Sanctions Committee, and the Sanctions Committee falls under the Security Council, right? And the Sanctions Committee will make a decision with a consensus, and the party themselves, who have been called that Green Bucket, they can also come to the council and put forward their argument. They can challenge the inclusion. They can challenge, a state trying to propose them as a terrorist organization. And this is what has happened with Hamas and Hezbollah and the IJRC. So Hamas and Hezbollah, they have tried to make or to designate Hezbollah a terrorist state.
Really?
But it has not. Yes, they have tried, but they cannot do it at the UN, because the UN, they have not met the threshold at the UN for them to designate Hezbollah as a terrorist state, because Hezbollah it themselves, right? There's a varying views that Hezbollah still has seats in the parliament in Lebanon.
Right.
You understand? So the UN sees Hezbollah as a political entity, a political actor with a paramilitary wing. Now there are elements or the people who are related to Hezbollah that are on the UN sanctions list. They are sanctioned. But Hezbollah itself has not been designated as a terrorist organization. It's a political actor. They have seats. You're telling me that, we want to go and tell Hezbollah that they are a terrorist organization and they're holding seats in the Lebanese parliament. And the United Nations has not designated Hezbollah as a terrorist organization.
Wow.
It goes against international logic and international reasoning.
Yes.
And that, so Hezbollah is one of the ticklish ones where, they're in the parliament, Hezbollah is there. However, there are actors in Hezbollah with the paramilitary arm of Hezbollah that has weapons and stuff, but the UN has sanctioned that arm, the paramilitary arm, that they need to be disarmed, right? But they work and they see the Hezbollah as a political actor that are helping the Lebanese people on the southern side of the border, where they are protecting their interests of the Palestinians. And the same goes for Hamas. Hamas is a actor in the Palestinian Liberal Organization. They have seats in their parliament, although it's not active. But it's not active because of what's going on in Gaza, and it can't be active. I mean, they're bombing the hell out of it. But Hamas is also seen as a political actor in the Gaza Strip. So when you have you have the senators saying, and we have organizations in Trinidad and Tobago saying that, in order to help the individuals in Gaza and the Palestinians to get aid and stuff like that, that's how they get it into Israel and into the Gaza Strip through Hamas and through Hezbollah. These are the organizations. So if you designate these organizations, so there's as I said, so there's this threat also that you designate these organizations as terrorist organizations. Now the aid and the charity that was going to the Palestinian people in Gaza, you are now freezing those assets with organizations in Trinidad and Tobago that are linked with them or trying to help the Palestinian people. So you understand what is happening here, because the United Nations themselves use Hamas and Hezbollah to move aid into the Gaza Strip, because the Israelis do not want aid to get in, and Israelis have been blockading it. So they use these organizations to get into the Palestinian people. So that's that. But it gets even deeper when you're looking to designate the IGRC. This is a constituted army, and you're telling me that you're going to say that the Iranian army, you're designating a terrorist organization.
Wow.
You have to.
That's why
you have to look. Yeah, and you also have to look at the timing. The timing is critical. Now, there are lots of organizations around the world, and lots of things that people have looked at in the United Nations, and they said, okay, here's what they're doing things.
Right.
But look what's happening in Sudan, right? Sudan's atrocious, but we're not saying anything about Sudan. All of a sudden, because Donald Trump and Israel is having a war with Iran, we are deciding to look at Iran and their partners around Iran, designate them terrorist organization.
That is what people are thinking, and people are wondering if this prime minister and this government is only doing it because of that main point that you made there.
That's it. That's the point. That's the only reason it's been done. There's no other reason it's being done. That's the reason it's been done, and it further telegraphs. Remember, in August coming up here, we are looking for a seat on that same council I just tell you about, the UN Security Council, UNSC, United Nations Security Council. We're looking for a seat on the United Nations Security Council. If we get the seat on the United Nations Security Council, we have already telegraphed that we are pro-US. We support whatever Donald Trump does. It means that the United States has another vote in their favor on the Security Council to designate whatever they want to sway the UN. So they're stacking their horses. It's it's an international political game.
And you know what? You know what, Commander Dindial? People are not telling us this. You see what you just shared there a while ago, and I wanted to repeat it. I want you to repeat it, because you know who mentioned it? The former president of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He said it. Mr. Gonzalez said it. But this reaction, or this move by the government now explains it. And this is what the news should have highlighted more of. Because it just bring about a question. Wow, all of a sudden you all just put these things on these. Why? All of a sudden, but people are not understanding the how to put it, the underlying movement.
The wider implication.
That is it. In-depth. That is it. And that's why I said, I know. Let me tell you something. When I saw you come out and did your video, and I said, hey, Commander Dindial has a deeper explanation to this than a 5 minutes or a little blog. It have to do with something that we are not focusing on as a nation. We're not focusing on it. And more when we hear people saying that this government is deeper and going deeper and deeper and deeper in bed with the US government in with certain things, we people are just saying, that it's just small talk, or is a distraction, or using that as a distraction and small talk. But really and truly, Commander Dindial, this government is really positioning themselves to be the voice of America in the Caribbean.
Well, not only in the Caribbean. on the Security Council, because they're going to have that seat at the Security Council. So the US will have another vote from the permanent 7. So they can now, once you have more votes, you can now get Hamas and maybe Hezbollah and the IGRC designated as a terrorist organization at the United Nations Council. Because remember, as I just explained, the process of how it's done. So there's a process, and once you get the process, they will vote, and the criteria for designating the organization, the US will have another person in the back to vote on their side, and that's the whole thing about it, and that's what you see. The bigger picture is that. So the designation process, Trinidad and Tobago will be one of their voters. They already have a vote for whatever they want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what we see, now, not taking away from our local experts. Our local experts, we have doctors and stuff here that, they're working and they're looking at our local legislation, which is fine. You're seeing our sovereignty and stuff like that, and we can't take away our sovereignty, because I'm one of the persons that have always argued and for our sovereignty that, internationally, and one of the main things in the UN Charter, and that's a state cannot give up its sovereignty or give up its right to defend itself. And that's what Iran is doing. Iran is defending itself and says that and the US uses this conveniently by saying they preemptively attack. We think you're going to attack us, so we preemptively attack you, or you didn't attack us. So the US uses it conveniently. They use those things conveniently. But knowing that, if individuals here in Trinidad and Tobago recognize that we have a seat at the United Nations table and we have to follow international law, you would think that the lawyers and the AG's office, they would have looked for the advice internationally. But I don't think they have a very good foreign policy office right now, or very good foreign affairs office, in order to advise them. I don't know, we see Sean Sobers there. I don't know who is there at the ministry right now advising this government on the foreign policy. And we see our foreign policy is literally mimicking Trump's foreign policy.
Yes. Oh, boy. Where we going with this, boy? Commander Dindial, where we going with this? Where are we going with this, Commander?
The light is hopefully Trump administration. He only has 3 more years. And when the administration changes, we will see what happens. We unfortunately, we have 4 more in Trinidad and Tobago.
Commander Dindial, this is frightening.
Well, this is the only way to do it, sir, other than revolution. And as I've said it before, on your program, Trinidad and Tobago, we have gotten everything easy. We have never fought for our democracy. We have never fought for freedom. We have gotten our independence and republic very easy without any bloodshed. Mm-hmm. We haven't stewed. We haven't cooked a bit. And those are some of the things that are required for individuals for steel and metal to harden. You have to quench it.
We have a call on the line. Let's hear this caller's question. Hello, good evening, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
Pastor Google.
Hi.
And good evening to Mr. Commander.
Good evening,
One question, right? On the news clippings Pastor Google played, Imam Imtiaz Mohammed, he made a point where the ICC has an arrest warrant out for Prime Minister Netanyahu. When I did some research on that arrest warrant is out since November 2024, 2 years ago. So I would like you to explain, how does the ICC execute this arrest warrant for any alleged suspects that they want to bring in? Do they go through Interpol? How come they can't just go into Israel and arrest them, since they are part of the UN Resolution Council? Could you explain that process, please? Thank you.
I'll try my best, sir. So sovereignty, a nation's sovereignty, you don't give up your sovereignty. So you can't go into someone's country and arrest them for your laws, right? Because their laws supersedes the international law in their sovereign territory. So I'll bring that back to explain to you why going and taking President Maduro from his country was kidnapping and wrong. So you can't go into someone's sovereign territory and kidnap their people or take their president, because your laws do not supersede their territorial laws in their territory.
Right.
That is why when you are brought before the International Criminal Court and you are signatory to the Rome Statute, that they ask member states that if you leave and you go to the jurisdiction, that you are arrested through Interpol or through that member state. Netanyahu flies to the US because the US is not a signatory to any of these statutes. The United States does not recognize the International Criminal Court and does not recognize the ICJ. They don't recognize that, and they only recognize the U.S. law. U.S. law is supreme, and that is why they use that loophole by designating Maduro and his regime as a foreign terrorist organization under the Narcotics Act and the Terrorism Act. So, according to the U.S. law, a terrorist, no matter where they are, they could go and get them, because their law supersedes your sovereign law. But according to international law and according to the United Nations, you cannot give up your sovereignty. So the United States broke all international laws in everything they have done up to this point. So the question asked by the Muslim group of whether Prime Minister Kamala Bissessa and her government will uphold the ICC and the ICJ is relevant, because we are part of the Rome Statute, and they are supposed to, if Netanyahu comes to Trinidad and Tobago, uphold that and take him to the International Criminal Court of Justice and the ICJ in The Hague. Whether or not they will do that is left to be seen.
All right, let's take this other call. Hello, good evening. Without even asking the callers to call in, they're calling. Hello,
good evening, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
Captain Dindial. You know, after listening to the Vincentian former Prime Minister and listening to what you said tonight, I could understand why it is they want to move. What's the name of the lady in CARICOM?
Oh.
You understand what's going on there? If I move her, then I would be able to get the vote that Mr. or Captain Dindial is talking about, and the vote that the former Prime Minister of St. Vincent is talking about when I go to the UN to justify the war that I intend to carry out on so-called terrorists. You understand that, Pastor Google? So our government drank so much of the chum juice that they are ignoring all international standings in order to sue one particular individual so that he could achieve his agenda. That is the whole argument about CARICOM. You know, you see, she jump out she come out with a, what do you call it? A WhatsApp message. She ain't sure where it come from. Just like Stone Sobers a few days ago told us about some message come out on our WhatsApp that he had nothing to do with. But she get one and she ain't sure CARICOM must respond to this because she ain't too sure. The whole idea is to get CARICOM to give Trump its support, to make it look like the region is in support. Because if Trump gets out of office and she remains here, she will have to answer to the International Criminal Court, you know. Because we have two people before the court. We have a group, a family, have the government of America before the court for the bombing of gentlemen on a boat. Pastor Google. Enjoy your evening, gentlemen.
Commander, what say you, Commander Dindial, on what they call her? Is it?
Well, that caller take 10 points. So if you play Monopoly, you know, you just get go straight to go and collect $200. That's the man. That man. Don't spin the dice. Move straight on, man. That guy's on the ball, and he has correctly connected the dots, and showing you where it's all leading to, and he does the stuff.
Wow, come on! And I know that's one of the reasons why you like to come on this program, eh? I know that's one. No, be honest, Commander Dindial. If you be honest, when you go on other programs, you don't get callers to stimulate and to get that adrenaline rush like how my callers just do it, man. Be honest.
I'm always honest. Happy to be here. Yes, you have very educated listeners on your program.
Thank you very much. So we you see, Kamala Dindial, and that's why I brought you on. I brought you on because I had a feeling. I said to myself, nah, man, something ain't adding up. This cannot just be about terrorism. This bigger than that, and I don't know if it's just me, but why, Kamala Dindial, does these political leaders feel that we are so foolish that we can't sit down and put the puzzle together? Why they think that we are so foolish that they can give us that to hold, and that's why I would say.
But let me cut you across there before you say anything. You're asking why. Let me explain something to you, sir. They have 300,000 people in this country that you can't change. They're very foolish. They're just dumb.
Wow.
All right, it have a 300,000 base that I'm not going to call anything. They have 300,000 people in this country that I call them the educated ignorant. Because they will, whatever you give them, whatever soundbite you give them, they run with. That they will not analyze, they will not go in deeply, they will not recognize what is happening right now. They will not recognize that this designation of these three Islamic groups that are related to Iran in the Middle East, connected to the war right now, is convenient. They are only conveniently doing this now because of the war and what Trump is doing, and the dots, how we're connecting the dots for us when we get on that UN Security Council seat, and what it's all about. So they could have. What has happened with ISIL and ISIS? Have you heard anything about ISIL, ISIS, Al Qaeda?
No.
Have you heard anything about of the groups in Sudan?
No.
Have you heard the groups in the Congo?
No.
Have you heard anything about you understand Al Shabaab? What are you haven't heard anything, and you're telling me about you're using we have the local experts who locally, when I say local, they're just bordered by Trinidad and Tobago. No, that's all they know. They know Trinidad and Tobago, and talking about our financial regulations here, and looking with the FIU and stuff like that. I sit on the FIU. I know what's going on at the FIU. I sit down there and I know what's going on and what they're doing with the FIU. And for your view and for your listeners, hear me, your viewers, and for your listeners, and your viewers, then I'm a member on the panel of experts for the Security Affairs Division. Panel of experts, Rostov, and I'm not Rostov, but the United Nations. So we deal with these things internationally when we have to do our reports to the United Nations Security Affairs Division.
Right.
And we put these things, so you have to look at it globally. You have to look at it what's happening outside, understand the dynamics, understand the geopolitics. Don't look at it just Trinidad and Tobago. We're looking at our local laws and we want to do this now. It's much bigger. It's much bigger than that, and that's why they're doing it now. They're doing it now, and they're coaching it and saying, well, we're doing that to strengthen Trinidad and Tobago, and we're not going to fund terrorist organizations in Trinidad and Tobago and foreign terrorist fighters returning from abroad, coming back to Trinidad to do what? Really? That has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that.
Oh boy. Well then, seeing that we then open up the phone lines to take calls, let's continue. So the number to call is 464-7003. 464-7003. That is the number you can call to get in. Alright, so you have a call. Oh, we have a foreign caller. Commander Dindial. Let's take this call. Hello, good evening. Where are you calling us from?
From New York.
Oh, you're calling us from New York?
Yeah.
All right.
I called you before.
Right.
And I had mentioned to you, I think, when they was bombing all these boats and stuff in the Caribbean there, you know, you had a talk about that. I called you and I told you that the Prime Minister, she is following all what the All Force man is doing here, because that's how I just call it. I didn't try to call it my name, so I just said the All Force man, so most likely a lot of Trinidadians might know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so she's following everything that what he's doing here to us here. She's following everything what he's doing to us here. She's trying to do the same thing to Trinidad.
All right, thank you very much, caller.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you very much. All right, so that's a caller from New York. And he said that he called and he shared that with us, that everything that they're doing, that the what do you call him? The All Force man is doing in America. our Prime Minister is doing it too. But you see, Commander Dindial, you see, that means for me that we need to continue to keep these people on the ball. We need to continue to be watching, listening, and learning based on what is being said to us. We cannot just take everything that this government says to us and roll over and play dead and say, okay, well, if they say that, then we have to believe it. We cannot just believe everything these people say to us. There are ulterior motives to it.
Yeah, but I expect in the near future that the ambassador to the UN from Iran will lodge a formal letter to the United States Security Council regarding Trinidad and Tobago's designation of the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Because they did this, the latest government that designated them as a terrorist organization was Canada. And that was, I think, the beginning of this year. Right. And they formally lodged a complaint to the Security Council. So I expect that they will do that. But right now, we're even dealing with war. So they have no time to really come, and Trinidad and Tobago is like a fly. Not even they're worried about that at all. But when they settle down, I expect them to do that and lodge that to the Security Council. And those are correspondence and communiques that we would get to look at. To keep and I would see that, but I don't think Trinidad will even tell us when that comes. We have to keep looking out for it.
Yeah.
And see.
Hello, good evening. You have a caller. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Pastor Google and Mr. Dindial. I want to follow up on what Mr. Dindial said earlier, and I remember when the Prime Minister said that some Muslim organizations wanted to assassinate her and all kind of thing. And when they take her to task, she couldn't prove anything. Right? And another thing is, I was listening to when Mr. Griffith speak. I find every time he speaks, he sounds like he's a job interview, like he's looking for some post in the government. So, I don't know. What your views on that. Okay.
Well, Commander Dindial, we have no views on that. I there was one time I did ask Commander Dindial if he wouldn't mind me having the both of them on to share their views on issues.
Well, as you can see clearly from the article today, and I think it's on the Guardian, you see that both of us have opposing views.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, he supports the government. I don't support the government in this view because I'm looking at it internationally. I've seen what this can do, and we have exposed ourselves to severe risk there.
Tell us what are some of the risks. Tell us what are some of the risks that we have opened up ourselves to, Commander Dindial.
Well, the first risk we have is the biggest one, our sovereignty, and by adopting, as I said, the US designation list and EU designation list, Trinidad and Tobago is pandering to US and Washington's foreign policy. And it has eroded Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty and our position of non-alignment. So we are now totally aligned to the Western Hemisphere's big stick policy, Trumpian doctrine. So we have given up our sovereignty. That's the biggest one. The legal exposures we have exposed ourselves to with this is that if the banking institutions enforce these designations, right, as foreign terrorist organization, and they're saying we have done that unilaterally without international law and UN sanctions, we risk litigation from the ICC and the ICJ for depriving the Guard Corps or Hezbollah or any of these organizations from the property or the assets without due process.
Okay. Stick up in, Commander. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, sir. Good evening to Commander Dindial. Just to add to what he just said of how Trinidad and Tobago is basically pandering to Washington DC's foreign policy. Have you just noticed a couple of days ago, the Prime Minister mentioned all of a sudden they acknowledge Delcy Rodriguez as the president of Venezuela, and they're going to send a diplomatic mission to Venezuela. All this pandering is also part in hope that Donald Trump will force the president of Venezuela to talk to us to work out some deal for the Dragon Gas deal. All this pandering, everything they say that the Prime Minister and the government has to do in order for them to get what they want, Kamala Prasad is doing it. It's not just like that. Or all of a sudden, as what Mr. Barataria, who called earlier and said, all of a sudden they're targeting Dr. Carla Barnett, the Secretary General of CARICOM. It's not just so. All those things are planned and orchestrated. Right? So I need you all to bear that in mind. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, Commander Dindial.
There you have it.
Oh boy, is he going to the head of the class?
All your callers, every single one.
Oh gosh, we're taking your calls on 464-7003, 464-7003. So Commander Dindial was sharing with us what are some of the implications to statements that are being made, and we are watching and we hearing from callers and listeners and persons sharing with us that, hey, what's going on? This is bigger than just putting sanctions on Muslim communities, but it has to do with a bigger part. It's a bigger part of the pie that some of us need to be aware of and take our heads out of the sand and stop pretending as though we don't understand that, hey, we are just, positioning ourselves to accomplish a purpose and a goal for the American government, the American president.
You see, we are blindly running down this track, and we're not recognizing that, you see, in order for you to designate Hezbollah or Hamas or the IGRC a terrorist organization in your own territory, in your sovereign territory, you must show, right, that these organizations have done something against you. And when it goes to the ICC, because after these things happen, if you hold these organizations' assets and property and seize them, when they take it to the ICC and the ICC asks you, well, the United Nations has never designated these organizations or sanctioned these organizations internationally, but you have unilaterally made a assertion or a designation of it as them as terrorists. Please show us how these organizations have affected your country as a terrorist. What they done to intimidate your citizens, to make them be designated a terrorist in your territory? Do you see any of that justification coming? You see, we put in the cart before the horse again.
Yes.
We just following things blindly. We want to designate you want to designate the Iranian National Army a terrorist organization. What stops them from designating the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force a terrorist organization? Because we can't play football good. You know? So there is that control.
But what do you what ah boy. In nights like these I wish my dad was on. Because I'll tell you something, Commander Dindial. You see, if Donald Trump does lose the midterm, where is this going to end up? We have a call on the line. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, caller.
I just want to continue on the point that Commander raised about the IRGC, right? And as we would have seen here from our vantage point and looking at the outcome and what has been transparent since February 28th in the conflict, right? In the conflict zone. The IRGC is engaged in defense of its homeland. That is totally different to something like ISIL, Al-Qaeda, or ISIS. Because the IRGC is the designated military organization to protect the Iranian homeland. You had a man, two men, the Secretary of Defense and the President boasting that they totally destroyed them. Right? They have no navy, they have no air force. But yet they were able to destroy 400 million in military hardware and have strangled the Strait of Hormuz when that was not so before February 28th. So, as the commander said, you have little people, but they unintelligent and ignorant. Therefore, if someone is engaged in something like that, you cannot to designate them that institution as terrorist organization is foolish and falls against all the international norms of either diplomacy or military justice. I know the commander will be out on this. And you just have to look at what was happening to Japan. You know what's the reason why the bombs was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Pastor Google?
Tell me.
The bombs was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because the campaign to liberate Okinawa and Iwo Jima proved to the U.S. military that if they went to invade the Japanese mainland, it would have meant that World War II would have gone on for another 7 years because of what the Japanese were planning to engage in, which was sabotage of the homeland and kamikaze tactics. And it was estimated, Commander could be out on this, that it would have caused the draft to deplete the main stock in America, and also you would have had a further 1 million casualty in military personnel across all the arms of the American military at the time, even if the Allies had assisted. And that would mean that it would not have been possible to have the war fought on two fronts, which is the European front and the Asiatic front. So the bomb was used to hasten the end of the Japanese resistance to concentrate on Europe. Am I wrong, Commander?
No, you're going with me good.
And you see what Iran is doing now? That is what Japan would have done. History is a cyclical thing, you know. And we have to realize that. And you're also dealing, you have the two men calling the shots for America never served in military conflict. And what they've done, they scored out the American military, the Pentagon people who were given advice, and replaced them with people who don't have that, who are just party hacks. And in war, party hacks is disaster. General Tojo, the Japanese High Command, the German High Command, that is the issue that we have in military affairs that shows how dangerous it is, politics and military tactics to mix. That's where we are, you know. And I just ask the countries around Iran, how they feeling now with having American bases? Are they any safer than before February 20th? Because right now they're not safe. Because their neighbor Iran could overrun all of them. And in fact, all the US bases, the majority of them have been destroyed. That is not coming to us on the Western media because they have a blackout and reporting those stories because their licenses to broadcast will be pulled by the FCC, as expressly given to the FCC by the President and the Secretary of Defense, Mr. Hegseth. And this is the rule that our Prime Minister is tying us down to.
And the thing about it is, as Commander Dindial said earlier on, that and Mr. Barataya would have put the icing on the cake. All of this is for a president that you're not even sure going to win the midterm.
No, it's not about the president winning the midterms. You know. Come November, he will be a lame duck president because he will not be able to pass anything legislatively, and the only thing he will be able to do is issue executive orders. And the way the US Constitution operates is quite clear that there are two separate arms of government. One does not supersede the other. And our administration cannot be successful with only executive orders. They must pass legislation. If you do not do that, you're subject to impeachment, even if you have Republican support. But the forecast is saying that the Republicans will be wiped out in both houses. Whether in the Senate they will be able to get the 60 votes to stop what they call it, filibustering in terms of legislation, that is one that is up in the air, but they will be decimated in the House. So he would not be able to do anything.
Wow. All right, caller. And Doctor,
thank you.
Let's just now call up Mr. Commander Dindial. Anything you want to share? Talk to the caller.
Well, that's interesting, and the U.S. outlook puts a dynamic people not looking at right now because it's a 3-year outlook. Once Mr. Trump isn't there anymore, there is, or I want to say, the possibility that you will see President Maduro being released and sent back to Venezuela and resuming his presidency.
Don't say that now, Commander Dindial. You're going to put me in problem. What you saying?
Correct.
Only don't say them things. Only wait, just now. Listen to Commander Dindial. You heard what you just said? Viewers and listeners, you all just heard what Commander Dindial just said? Because you know that there are people, Commander Dindial, there is the 300,000 that you would have spoken about. Right? Yes. There is the 300,000 that you spoke about, Commander Dindial, who believe that when Donald Trump, right, if Donald Trump doesn't lose, or if he lose, right, there are the people, Commander Dindial, and the 300,000 who believe that Donald Trump is going to tell, what's her name? Delcy, whatever Trinidad wants, Trinidad must get.
No, you see, Pastor, what is happening, right? What is happening in the Republicans losing the midterms is the control of Senate committees and being able to do certain things. Once the Democrats take charge of committees like defense, the budget, and so on, foreign relations, and so on, you will find that the people who would have prosecuted the war have to now come and be asked hard questions, have to be subpoenaed to come. People in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, people in the administration, and high officials, and like what happens here, could be impeached by a resolution passed in both houses of Congress. And that is what Commander is directing you and the other listeners and viewers to. And once that is done, and the impeach from the president come down, the situation will collapse. The unimpeachable to an extent body in the American system is perhaps the Supreme Court. They could be, but it's very difficult. You understand? But everybody has a fair game. And once the majority goes to the Democrats, that is what Trump and his cronies will be facing. They'll have to answer for all the things that they have done that is ultra-virus the Constitution. And they have lost many cases in the lower court that is now reaching to the Supreme Court for hearing. And the Supreme Court, look, he was even talking about the justices he appointed, because the conservative justices in the appeal court, including the Chief Justice John Roberts, they are making decisions where they are saying that, listen, the things that you want to implement is ultra-virus on our Constitution. And though you would have appointed us, our fealty is to the rule of law and upholding the ideals of our Constitution. As flawed as it is, and it's flawed, it's not a perfect document, right? And that's what they are saying. We are the guardians of the law and the rule of law. He's very angry at them right now. And this is the scenario that could unfold once the midterm elections for the House and the Senate go a particular way. And one thing I do remind people about, the House of Representatives has elections every 2 years. The Senate is every 6 years, but on a rotational basis. So some key senators may come up for election in this incarnation here in November, and others next year and the ensuing year. That's how the American system is. So that is why it's so fluid and important now. That is very crucial to put a stop to what is happening there. That people are not paying attention to.
Thank you very much, Commander Dindial.
Yeah.
What say you?
Well, what we were talking about, I think what President Maduro is playing the long game. The thing we have to look for is that he doesn't die suspiciously like Epstein while in U.S. custody.
Right.
And once that doesn't happen, a presidential pardon, I think he's playing for that presidential pardon that is coming up once Mr. Trump isn't there. And Delcy has said she's the interim leader. She has never said that she's the president. Although people are saying that she's the president, she's maintaining she's the interim leader.
Yeah, she has. She has always said that. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening. Just one question again. Now, earlier, Commander Dindial's mentioned, let's say, for instance, Trinidad and Tobago gets nominated to the UN Security Council and represents a vote for the United States, right? I want to know how much total votes the United States really have, because for what I'm seeing, they don't have much votes, because for what going on in Iran, a war that the United States and Israel started, their NATO allies have all rejected United States requests and so-called demands to help them reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So I want to know how many votes really the United States have in total. Because I will assume that if Trinidad and Tobago gets nominated, we might represent all the votes in CARICOM. Is that so? Could you explain that to me, Commander? Thank you very much.
All right, Commander Dindial.
All right, so the United Nations Security Council consists of 15 member states, right? And it is divided into 5 permanent seats and 10 non-permanent seats, right?
Right.
And the 10 non-permanent seats, they're elected for a period of 2 years. Now, the permanent members are the ones with the veto power.
Right.
Right, and then basically the nuclear powers. So the nuclear powers are the ones that have the veto powers, which is the United States for one, the United Kingdom, Russia, France, and China. Those are the five. Yes, those are the five permanent members, and those five permanent members have veto powers. So no matter what you come to the Security Council, once you can't bring a consensus with these five nations, you have veto power. But when you go to a vote, the non-permanent members, the 10 non-permanent members, it will still reflect. If you have the majority of the 10 non-permanent members on your side, the quorum or the minutes of the meeting will show that you have had the majority. And normally, what's supposed to happen is that when you're doing things like papers for designating states as a terrorist organization, the argument is brought forward to the council and to the sanction table. So in 2026, I think the non-permanent members, the 10, Denmark, let me see if I could pull that up. Yeah, I just pulled it up here. In the term ending in 2026, December, you have Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama, and Somalia. Bahrain, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia. These are the ones that their terms. So the term ending in December 2027 is Bahrain, Colombia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia. Now, those states, if you remember, Bahrain, Colombia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia, they are all aligned right now with the US. The ones still that are ending in December 2026, Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama, and Somalia. Panama is still neither here nor there. They're still with the US. And these states here are the ones that they want to replace, the other five. And Trinidad is supposed to be one of those members of five. So they would have 6 of the non-permanent so far. And they're trying to rally to get all 10. They're trying to rally to get all 10 from their group, so their seat allocation. Because the Latin American and Caribbean group is 2 seats, and we're seeing that one of the Latin American and Caribbean group seats is Trinidad and Tobago, and the other seat definitely going to be for the US also.
Wow. Okay, so I hope that answers the caller question.
Yeah, I hope I gave him some clarity.
Yeah, I hope he really got some clarity where that is concerned. I really, really hope so. Also, so we taking a few more calls, Dr. Dindial, before you go?
Sure.
All right.
Don't take me over time, then.
So we taking a little more, but while we wait for the calls, Commander Dindial, you would have started off with a subject matter where gas is concerned, right?
Oh my, yes.
And I pulled it up because, you said that local news not talking about it. Mm-hmm. Local news is not talking about it. And, I didn't even know that there was a gas shortage in the UK.
I've been following it quite clearly. There's a gas shortage in Europe, UK, Pakistan, and Asia.
Commander Dindial, this is a serious topic,
And a gas shortage we have been absorbing it. We have been absorbing it. We are not seeing it, but we have been absorbing it. And you have to ask yourself the question, why they have been absorbing it and keeping it so quiet? But they can't absorb it because we don't have money. We don't have money, we don't have gas, we don't produce oil, we have no gas coming from anywhere. We cannot produce gas for the downstream economy. The downstream on industries have utilized all the gas. We don't have any. So where are we getting the money to subsidize the gas? Right now, we're hiding that somewhere. That has to come out in the open. Mark my words. In the coming months, things are going to have to go things that, and we're going to have to face the music. They're going to have to come out and say something, but I do not believe that they want to do that right now at the end of the mid-year, at the end of the first year review, and going into the, what you call it, the caucus and, you know, the celebratory thing, and saying we did this, we did that, and did the other. They want to wait, and then maybe 2 or 3 months after, they will say, well, you know, we have now been affected by the war. We've been affected by the war all along.
Wow. I want to play this clip, Commander Dindial. Let's call viewers, call us Holy Line. Let's play this clip, and because Commander Dindial is the one who brought it to our attention that we need to be aware of what's going on in the world. So take a listen to this, everyone. Please take a listen to this.
Fuel prices in the UK are currently a major topic for obvious reasons. We are witnessing one of the biggest spikes in fuel prices. Petrol is now selling for just over 158 pence a litre on average, up from 133 pence in late February, while diesel has risen from 142 pence a litre to 192 pence. In one extreme case, a single petrol station saw prices rise to nearly 300 pence per litre. One London petrol station was seen charging 299.9 pence a litre, just under the £3 barrier for fuel on Saturday as drivers filled up their cars for the Easter bank holiday. Take a look at this clip of Luke Tyrrell, Executive Director at More in Common, speaking on Times Radio. It highlights just how concerned people are about rising fuel prices.
I spoke to a woman in South Wales this weekend who was saying, I've become obsessed with petrol prices. It's all that I can think about at the moment because I'm so worried about when it's going to jump up next. It really goes to the heart of how people are thinking and feeling. And yeah, I think in some cases we can expect that to boil over into real frustration and anger.
There is real concern surrounding the economy currently. 1 in 7 consumers surveyed by Barclays said they were delaying major purchases in response to the uncertainty in the Middle East, while the same proportion said they were building up a savings buffer. And now, to make things more complicated, talks between the US and Iran have completely broken down. On top of that, President Trump has gone ahead and imposed his own blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. So you've got both sides digging in. Currently, there's no end to this conflict in sight, and no one knows when that strait will reopen. And behind closed doors in the UK, governments and experts are starting to sound pretty worried about what comes next. In an interview with Times Radio, Nick Butler, former Vice President for Strategy and Policy at BP, warned that diesel could hit £2 plus per litre. He added that the real crisis for Britain and Europe is likely to hit at the end of April and into early May, when supply pressures could turn into both physical shortages and sharp price increases. He also stressed that we have not yet seen the full impact of this loss of supply on prices. Take a look at this clip.
I am concerned. I think there's such a lot of noise and competing messages that it's important to go back to the facts. We've now had 6 weeks during which none of the tankers have come through Hormuz. Those tankers take weeks to get to their destination, and we're now running out of the tankers that set off before the war began. So there's now going to be a real gap in supply, and I think the boss of Shell said it a couple of weeks ago, and I think he was exactly right, that the real crisis for Britain and for Europe will come at the end of April and in early May, when the real shortage will translate into both a physical shortage and a sharp rise in prices. I don't think we've yet seen the full impact on prices of this loss of supply.
What he's really saying here is that this hasn't fully hit yet, but it's about to. Up until now, things have been ticking along because we've been using fuel that was already on its way before everything escalated. But once that runs out, there's nothing coming in behind it at the same level. And that's when the real pressure starts to show. And this is the key point. There's a lag. Right now, we're in that in-between phase where prices are rising and there are signs of pressure, but we're not feeling the full impact yet.
Commander Dindial, you still there?
So, yeah, so you heard all that, you played that, you heard all that. I hope your listeners are hearing it. What we have to take away from this is that we are not seeing it in Trinidad and Tobago right now, right? Because our prices is set by the regulated market, right? We have a regulated market price set, but that is only maintained by a government subsidy. A government subsidy goes in to regulate that market price and keep it as low for the consumers. It does not buffer the fact that the government is purchasing the fuel outside at a higher price because we are buying it on the international market. We don't have any subsidies outside there where our market is framed or constant. Our market is fluctuating with the global pressures. So we are fighting outside there with everybody else for the commodity and for its availability. But we are not seeing it here. Somebody is paying. So right now, the cabinet's supposed to be in a quorum trying to figure out, because they're paying the subsidies for the fuel prices right now for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but where is the money coming from? So Minister Tanku right now head in a quandary. I don't know where he getting the money from. And Minister Munilal also, there's no energy. we buying fuel, Paria Fuel Trading Company. So when the money goes down, you're going to ask yourself again, when you see the draw from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund and the billions running down, that is what they will be doing. So, because we don't have any money, we're not producing, we are purchasing. And they're hiding it from the public. They could only hide it for so long.
But in all of this, Commander Dindial, there are discussions and there is talks behind closed doors about reopening the refinery. I don't know how we be getting the oil from to refine, how we buying the oil to refine it. Commander Dindial, this is not a joking matter here, but I hope that the people who are listening, because we have, Commander Dindial, we have close to 2,320 persons who are watching, all right? 737 persons. Commander Dindial, talk to us. People are believing, Commander Dindial, people are believing that we are going to open back the refinery in June. July, the refinery is going to be open. Commander Dindial, where we getting the oil from? They said that we're going to get the oil from Guyana to refine. Right?
Okay, so two things there. June, July. Whoever said that, they didn't tell you what year, right? So it may be June, July in 2045.
No, they said this year. They said this year, Commander Dindial.
Well, they have some sort of wormhole or something. They're walking through time or some kind of thing. That never happened, right? That's one thing they could tell you. That refinery can't happen. But never start back. I will tell you, I'll give you a little bit of experience here when you walk the ground, and that's what I tell you. I can talk about these things with Hezbollah and Hamas and stuff because I've worked with the UN. I've worked at that level. I'm a security. I'm an advisor. I'm an expert on the roster. So I'm working on, and I can tell you when you're working with the UN how things work. I've been there at the refinery, securing some of the things and the assets that were there. The refinery, the scrap metal men and them thief out half of the pipes. The army had to go in to secure the compound. The refining aspect of it, most of the things, the frame from the cat cracker and stuff, all have to be rehabilitated and replaced They're way past their serviceable life, and in order to bring them into the modern refinery age, in order to refine crude. And if they want to refine Venezuelan crude, they have to make a distinction whether or not they want to use heavy sulfur crude HFSOs from Venezuela, or whether they're going to use other crude, because if they're going to use other crude, there's a different type of refining process and different type of refining, but they will have to import the crude oil from different areas, and that in Curacao, Aruba, and the other areas coming back in. So so many decisions have to be made. That refinery are coming back in now, and there's a lot of money have to go to take into place to bring back that. And we just talking about the storage capacity and the lines and the tanks and stuff. The health and safety things is all over the roof. So that I'm waiting to see also, that report, that the feasibility study to bring back that refinery. And we know, as a matter of fact, why the refinery had to be closed, because we didn't have the capacity. We don't have oil. The amount of oil for the capacity of the refinery, it wasn't viable. So economics speaks for itself about the refinery, and I don't want to talk more about it.
I know.
People with the cyanines know that is. So what we talk about, saying that, if we had a refinery now, we would have been benefiting. No, we would not have been benefiting, because we don't have oil. We would have still been in the same position, because we can't get oil from anywhere to refine. We had to buy oil, and we can't get oil because no oil can't leave the Gulf, Mediterranean Gulf, of course, there, and our refinery was not. So I don't know when people living in this Mickey Mouse world, this dream world of dreams, that you tell them something. Yeah, we had a refinery, and it's the P&M fault, and the refinery was there. We would have been making us some money. Or now, no.
And that is the delusion, Commander Dindial, that a lot of people are living in. That delusion that you just point out there. The 300 and something thousand people, Commander Dindial, they still live under that delusion. They still believe, and they hold fast to the fact that, if they didn't close it, all now we would have been benefiting from it. We would have get US. There are people who believe that, Commander Dindial. And what is sad now is that we going back to the clip, because you are seeing where people in the UK now, from what we are seeing, because of the closure of the
Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. They are unsure. They are unsure of when. They said by the ending of April, the UK could end up in a crisis where fuel is concerned.
And our government is not telling our public that, because they know they will panic. We buy our fuel for everything. They will be panic buying. They'll be hoarding. We don't even have a storage capacity right now to store fuel.
Look, Guyana right up the road, 15 minutes away, 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away on the plane.
Remember I told you this evening, there was a scare in Guyana that they have this shortage of supply of HFSOs in Guyana. With HFSOs is high fuel oil, right? Heavy fuel oil, HFSOs. So the heavy fuel oil, which they use for the bunkers, the ships, and they use for the big diesel generators and stuff like that, because Guyana have for the power plants and stuff. There is a shortage of fuel for those things for Guyana right now. You can't get.
Commander Dindial, I don't know what to say. I am hoping that, I don't know. And you know what is sad about all of this, Commander Dindial, is that there is no press conference. There is no proper press conference, but where the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago can be questioned. There is no proper press conference where ministers are being questioned properly on issues like this.
They're deliberately hiding, and as I said, my thing, I believe that they're waiting on that first year in review to show that they have been doing so. You know what promise made, promise kept, some kind of nonsense.
Yes. Yes.
Some kind of. So they want to fool their base that that's what they've done. That's what they have accomplished. Promise made, promise kept. And then when the harsh reality comes out, then they will say, well, this is what has happened, and this is what, you have to work with us, it's the war, and they will blame it on the war. They will say, well, this is the war, but it's happening all now. So they're not telling you that this is what is going on. They're not being truthful to the public. And the price, the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. We already see that the nurses want their money. They already promised people a whole set of big back pay where we have no money to pay them. Where are we going to get the money from, sir?
I
Where are we getting the money from? That heritage and stability fund. That fund is what they're going to be dipping into. They're going to be dipping into that fund with a heavy spoon.
What can we do to stop them from dipping in that fund? And what can we do, Commander Dindial, to get the government to respect us as citizens and come out and tell us what is truly and really going on with our economy and what is going on with our oil and gas sector?
Well, we have to continue doing what we're doing here tonight, informing the public, informing the wider community, keeping the voices alive, and advocating for this. We can't, unfortunately, as I said, we can't protest. We can't go out there. We're in a perpetual state of emergency, and I go back to there's a reason that the perpetual state of emergency is to stop us from protesting, is to stop us from going out there and saying, here's what, enough is enough. So the only thing we can do is what we are doing here right now. So short of saying anything that may put them come knocking on my door in the morning.
You know, they like to knock on our doors. You know?
Yes,
you know, our door and the doors they like to knock on. You know, they like to say, you all said something last night. I want the tape, please. Where's the laptop? Can I get the laptop? Commander Dindial said something there that we find to be very controversial. Let's check it and see that he didn't say anything seditious. We need to check Commander Dindial's statements. Do you have the recording, sir? Imagine that you come up from the military background. You have defended this nation for years. You have taught persons how to defend this nation for years. You have strategically put things in place to protect this nation for years, and you have to be treading softly on what you want to say. That could never be right, Commander Dindial.
Right? You see, I'm a law-abiding citizen, and through my years in the Defense Force, I've always maintained non-political allegiance. I've always maintained my allegiance for the state.
Right.
So whoever the state was, I supported the state, and that was what I was trained to do, and that's what I did. And I did it to the best of my ability. So whoever was in government, I did that. And both states of emergency, I was in states of emergencies at both sides. And I saw the states of emergency, and I saw the things that went wrong at both sides. And I sat on so many boards of inquiries, both defending and both prosecuting individuals for acts committed during those states of emergencies. So I've seen it.
Wow. This is interesting. Commander Dindial.
But mark my words, sir, what they will do, they will always say that they heard about the fuel crisis and the fuel prices at your program first. And they know exactly what is going to happen at the UN Security Council and where our vote is going, because we have already aligned ourselves with the US. So we know how our vote is going to go. Whatever the US say, the United Nations Security Council, that's the way we're going to vote.
Wow.
And they heard it here at your program first. So they're seeing it, they're joining the dots and seeing it all coming to pass.
Yep. I don't know if anybody else want to call in quickly before I release Commander Dindial. 464-7003. 464-7003. And I really want to thank you, Commander Dindial, for taking the time to come on the program this evening to clear up some of the information that some people may not wasn't able to put the dots. But clearly we realize that people can't put the dots together. But you just came and put the icing on the cake for them. What they thought they didn't understand, they fully well understood.
Yes, they do. Just have to point them in the right direction.
Yes.
Because the information is available there for everyone to listen, and they can see. And as I said, we can see, but and we have to. There are those individuals that they like the puppy. They throw the ball and they're following the ball, and those individuals, they have leaders who recognize that and they want to keep them in that. They don't want to give them the knowledge. They don't want to give them. They don't want to keep them playing.
Right. Hello. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Commander Dindial.
Good evening, sir.
Commander Dindial and Pastor Google, please forgive me, but I had an emergency and I had to run away for a while, so I was unable to hear. So if I repeat anything that was asked and already answered, I apologize. So please forgive me. I got in a short while ago and I was hearing you saying that I heard Pastor Google saying that he understands the refinery is going to start up sometime in the middle of this year. And you rebutted that with facts, Commander Dindial. And it is amazing that $50 million is being spent by patriotic services, not patriotic energies, to do a forensic study of the refinery, which they said would finish in 2027. So I cannot for the life of me understand where that information that Pastor Google just gave us came from. And the refinery is going to start up sometime this year. As you rightly indicated, Commander, that is practically impossible. Because I know a lot of pumps and a lot of material is missing, and a lot of material is so old that to start back that refinery is practically impossible. Right? So that is not going to happen. Coupled with that, who is going to pay for the oil? We don't know. It's a big secret. Everything now is NDA, non-disclosure. So we don't know what is happening exactly with that. So that is a non-starter. But Commander Dindial, I have to disagree with you about monies, because the government found money to give themselves an increase and to pay themselves their back pay in cash. Right? They paid their back pay in cash, Commander Dindial. And on top of that, Commander, it was just found out that they are going to give some of their friends $3.4 billion to build houses. $3.4 billion, as one of them will say, to build houses, Commander. So to say that they don't have money, they don't have money for nurses. They don't have money for teachers. They don't have money to pay back pay to civil servants or to anybody else. But they have $3.4 billion, Commander. $3.4 billion to give their friends. One of them getting over $1 billion to build housing. We don't know what type of housing. We don't know where the housing is being built. We don't know if the procurement process was anyway. MP Stewart said that will finally come out. But they found $3.4 billion, Commander. But they can't find money for anything else.
So just to be fair to me, I did tell Pastor Google they'll be using a very deep spoon to dig into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund.
But Commander, if they go into that fund and as well as our reserves, it is going to introduce the IMF, Commander, because we are on the brink. We are not clear of those funds, if you understand what I'm saying.
Correct.
Right? They're just keeping us barely above the IMF grabbing a hold of us. If you look at it, it's just about, 5 $5 billion on each side. So it's right on the brink, but they're finding the money. But they let go people who were living paycheck to paycheck. And I hope the people listen to you this evening, Commander. And I hope they're listening that they could find money to give their friends. We don't know where these houses are going to be built, what type of houses, what is the plan. But they have no money to pay CPEP workers. They have no money to keep the city, the capital city clean. Yes? They have no money for none of those things. And on top of that, Commander, this morning, Kevin Ramnarine indicated that all the plants in Point Lisas are down.
Where he said that? Where did he say that?
That was on TV6. No, it was on CNC3.
Where, on the morning show?
That's quite correct. Kevin Ramnarine said Methanex plants are down. Nutrient down. Proman down. Yara down.
Commander
So there's
Dindial.
nothing going out. There's no money. There's no gas.
Commander Dindial.
Hold on, let me finish.
Commander Dindial, we are in problems. We are in trouble.
Not me said so. Kevin Ramnarine said so this morning. You could go back and check it out for yourself. I know you have the capability, Pastor Google. Kevin Ramnarine said those plants are down. Flip Deco is down. The gas is being concentrated in Atlantic LNG. And MP Stewart spoke about it as if that is going to bring volumes of monies into Trinidad and Tobago. But those plants are held by foreign entities. What do you think they are going to do? Because up to now, this diplomatic team to go to Venezuela has not been chosen as yet. And we have no ambassador in Venezuela. So who it is they're going to talk to? They're going to knock on Delcy Palace door and say, yo, we come Trinidad, let me talk now. That's what they're going to do? Who are they talking to? Who are they going to present their diplomatic documents to? Who are they sending? They can't send persona non grata Prime Minister. So who are they sending to Venezuela? They can't send Dr. Munilal because he had nothing good to say about Delcy Rodriguez. So who are they sending to Venezuela to speak for on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago?
So you're quite right there. You're quite right there. So they're set with a dilemma from the onset. From the set go, they don't know what kind of team to put together and who they're going to that has the air of any of the Venezuelan counterparts.
But to talk about what, Commander, to whom?
Correct.
Commander, the Honorable Delcy Rodriguez went to Grenada. That was a telling visit. Grenada have no oil. Grenada have no gas. As want to be expounded by this government that they will talk to the Grenadians because they hear they have gas. There's no gas there.
Olio, I don't think Olio understand. We talking here. Olio don't understand that. We while we talking here and while we are explaining and while we are putting all this information and while I am looking at Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine talking about how in Point Lisas and gas.
Play it, Pastor. Please play it for your listeners.
Let me tell you something. This is not comforting, you know.
Pastor Google, you see, they're not going to believe me. Remember, my voice, my words don't make news like Commander Dindial. I wanted to play it. What Kelvin, do you know what Kelvin Ramnarine said this morning did not make news tonight?
No. It didn't make CNC3 news. It didn't.
It made no news tonight. You know why? Because that is bad news for this government.
No, remember, Kelvin, attorney at law, Kelvin Ramnarine, was a former energy minister.
Yes, he was.
He was asked by this government to do a feasibility.
Where's that report? Where's that report?
No, that report not important. That report not.
Okay.
Oh, let's stop
Sorry.
it. That report is not our business.
Oh, I understand.
We need to know we place. That is not our business. but what concerns me is that you see, Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine realize the reality now hit him that you can't. We were paid by the taxpayers of this country, and Commander Dindial, that's why there's getting trouble, because we paid Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine to do a feasibility study on the refinery, right? With a committee. We paid them handsomely. You took he gave it to them because I heard the minister in the ministry, Kiza, said that they got the report from Mr. Ramnarine. Right? You shelve Mr. Ramnarine study. You are now going with somebody else to pay them more money. So Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine now has reached the point where he is saying, I am going to throw out the information, let the chips fall with me.
Yeah, but play it, no man. Did you have it?
Oh God. I don't
let the people hear. Let the people see.
This thing frightening. This thing frightening. I don't want to keep Commander Dindial any longer.
He will. I'm certain he will want to hear it too. Not so, Commander.
I will definitely hear it.
Well, thank you so much, Commander. It's only a few minutes, Commander, and I am certain that Pastor Google won't let his great followers down. So play it, Pastor. Play it, Pastor. We are all listening. We are all paying attention, Pastor. Let the people realize.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I will play it. I will play it. I will play it. Commander Dindial, we have a country to save, you know. We have a country to save, you know.
Of course. That's why we're here.
Commander Dindial, we have a country to save, you know. And I do think how much people realize that the reason why you are up this late in the night and the reason why we are doing what we're doing is because we love Trinidad and Tobago. We want the best for Trinidad and Tobago. And we want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to realize that, hey, do not allow people to take you for fools. Stop it. Stop allowing people to take you for fools. And Commander Dindial, that is what has been happening in this country. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is what has been happening in this country. Let me take this call. This call I'm calling all through the night. I don't like to take you calling. Mr. Man, you can't have me on a big boombox playing for your whole neighborhood to hear.
Thank for your service for all through the years. I like all you coming out and speaking out now. We have a country to save because I had to play myself for this part of this foolishness. I thought this government was for the poor and the underprivileged. Nah, they're not for the poor and the underprivileged. That's victimization right away wrong. But Pastor, when you open up your letter after the pastor, you got play to the nation yet. Then I ran around, whatever your name is.
Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine.
Always up him. Yeah.
All right, sir. I will do that. So you heard that caller just now there, Commander?
Yes, sir.
He said that he was one of the persons who believed that this government was for the poor and the downtrodden. And he was one of the persons who urged and begged people to vote for this government. So he's one of the 300,000.
Well, I guess the show is allowing people to open their eyes and see the truth.
Wow. So, Commander Dindial, I'm going to play Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine. And, well, I know you will log on and you will listen to what he has to say.
Right. Okay. So I will leave you here this evening then, and I will log on the
live.
On the live.
Yeah.
So before I go,
yes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. I hope that I have given your program its due worth.
Of course, you always do. You always do. You always do, Commander Dindial. Come on.
Thank you so much for your kind words, and have given a little bit of information and insight to your viewers and the listening public. The price of gasoline per liter super right now is it's $7.75 per liter, and super is $6.97 per liter. So premium $7.75 and super $6.97, and diesel is $4.41.
Wow!
Right, so that's to give you some context when you're listening to Kevin's discourse.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and good night, everyone. Hope to be back soon.
Yeah, you will. Of course, Commander Dindial. What are you saying? You had to come back, and I know you like to be on with Mr. Manning. So I
love to be along with Mr. Manning.
So I will. So here what I'll do. I'll do a three-way. I'll do one with you, Mr. Manning, and my father.
Oh, great! Excellent.
So do you see how we can do that for next week? Please, God, next week Wednesday.
All right, sir. Good night to your viewers and listeners.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to play for you guys now a short. Well, it's not a short clip. It's a pretty long clip of Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine this morning on the Morning Brew, and what he had to say. And what he had to say, apparently, from what the caller said, Mr. Brian, apparently it have some stuff in it that you the listeners need to take a listen to. All right. So if you were about to come off the live, I will urge you not to come off. I will urge you now to share the live and get people on the live, because this is going to get really interesting. All right. So I think I have it here now. So I am about to play it for you guys. Take a listen to this. Former Energy Minister, Attorney at Law, and former Energy Minister, Mr. Kelvin Ramnarine, sharing his view on the energy sector and what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Take a listen. Share the live. Tell somebody, hey, Olia, we need to listen to this. And what Mr. Brand said is very true. It was not on the news. It's amazing how it is. This was not on CNC3 News, and all you know is a CNC3 News, man. How come this not on the news? How come this ain't make news? But it will make Constructive talk news. Take a listen to this.
At law, an energy expert, Kevin Ramnarine, joins me. Always a joy to touch base with you, Mr. Ramnarine. We get into some really deep discussions, and I know your knowledge on what's happening via the energy sector here at home and abroad informs not only myself, but the listening and viewing audience. Great to see you, Kevin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm watching the developments out of the Middle East, and it's still very much that big talking point, the Strait of Hormuz, and now with the blockade. From what I'm seeing here, the numbers are showing we might be in for a major increase. Oil prices, again, being from what we've seen since Monday, they've surged more than 7% back to $100 a barrel. And many anticipate, because you're already seeing in real time where they're putting some extra costs. I saw Carl putting an extra cost on the gas surcharge and all that. How soon do you feel we'll have to really, or at least how soon do you think the impact of all of this will start to hit us directly in the pocket?
All right, just to give you, the latest oil prices are about $96 per barrel for Brent. The Brent oil, and the West Texas Intermediate is $92 a barrel. That's Bloomberg as of a few seconds ago.
And on a regular day, what's the normal price?
Well, prior to the war, we were in the low 60s. Prior to the war, the war started in the early part of March. We were in the low 60s, and all the projections were for oil prices to trend even lower in 2026. Most of the projections were for oil prices to go into the mid to high 50s in 2026. Of course, that has been totally capsized by what's happening in Iran in the last 5 or 6 weeks, with this Straits of Hormuz and the bombing and so on of Iran. So we are, as you pointed out there, one of the biggest fallouts from what is happening. And the thing is, we take for granted the role energy plays in our life. I was talking to a gentleman who goes up the islands regularly with his yacht, and he was telling me before he leaves Trinidad, he makes sure and he stocks up on ice, because the price for ice up the islands, of course, is exponentially higher than what it is in Trinidad. We pay, $10 for a bag of ice in Trinidad, right?
Yeah, on a regular day, yeah.
On a regular day. Of course, a lot of the cost behind producing that bag of ice in Trinidad is electricity. And electricity in Trinidad, of course, comes from natural gas. In the other islands of the region, their electricity comes largely from fuel oil and diesel, which are directly, which are refined products from refining of crude oil. And one of the things that the Middle East is, apart from being a major oil producing center of the world, the Middle East is also a major refining center of the world. 11% of the world's refining capacity is in the Middle East. And one of the largest refineries in the world is in Saudi Arabia, the Ras Tanura refinery, which was hit by Iranian missiles and so on. So there's an impact too on refined products, the gasoline. So the Middle East produces a lot of gasoline because of the quality of their crude. When they refine they have high quality crude, what they call light sweet crude. When they refine that crude, they get gasoline, they get kerosene, and kerosene is really what we call jet fuel. So what we call pitch oil in Trinidad is really jet fuel. So what we're seeing now is, I just did a quick search of airlines and so on around the world. The entire world of aviation is under stress. So of course we know Cal is going to be seeing much higher prices for jet fuel. So expect that the price of your ticket to go to Miami and to go to Guyana and to go to London and so on will go up. It was already pretty expensive after COVID. Prices of tickets didn't really come down after COVID. So airline transport is going to be affected. Of course, the Trinidad and Tobago, we have price control at the pump for our gasolines and diesels. We have a system of a subsidy in place since 1974. It would mean that the subsidy on fuel in Trinidad and Tobago is going to increase. People usually think that high oil prices is a good thing for Trinidad, and by and large it is. But you must remember, we now import fuel. So Paria is going to have to find more US dollars and spend more US dollars to import fuel to supply the country. So there are ripple effects all over the world. Of course, the Middle East is also a major center for not just oil production and refining, but also a major center for liquefied natural gas production. About 20% of the world's LNG comes out of Qatar, and their multi-train facility in a place called Ras Laffan was also hit, and a few of the trains have been damaged and taken out of commission. So there's also an impact on the LNG industry. So the question is, how long is all this going to last for? And the answer is nobody knows. What we read, the most recent development is that the Iranians and the Americans have agreed to a second rounds of talks. The first rounds of talks in Pakistan, which was, I would say, mediated by Pakistan or facilitated by Pakistan, that fell apart on the weekend. This is when Vice President Vance went across to Pakistan. So now there's a second round of talk. The Americans are saying that they are going to impose a blockade on the Straits of Hormuz, meaning that Iranian tankers carrying crude oil from Iran, of course, they would allow their tankers to leave. The Americans are going to block those tankers now from exiting.
But how's that going to work? Because isn't Iran based on their geography and that geographical advantage?
All right. See you here. Ole here. That's the most I can play from it. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the rest to play some more. But in essence, you heard what Mr. Kelvin Lamlarine said. He said that, you know, we always think that growing oil prices is a good thing, but really and truly, because we import fuel, it's not going to be a good thing. We're going to need more US dollars to buy fuel. So there's a lot of dynamics and a lot of things that are happening in the background that a lot of people are not taking into consideration, and we are now pretending and behaving as though, you know, everything is hunky-dory. It is not. It is not. I saw this video and I want to play this video for you guys. I saw this video and I said I'm going to play this video for you guys because, again, you see, they're selling us dreams. They're selling us dreams, and it's very important that we be aware. All right. Who's this caller calling in here? 10%.
Good afternoon, Pastor.
Good evening, 10%. How are you?
I'm okay, Pastor.
Yes,
I just was listening and learning.
Pardon?
That given what I heard Mr. Kelvin and Ramaya said, and given the fact that we happen to be a gas-based economy,
yes,
according to most people don't understand it.
Yes.
It's very baffling.
Why is baffling 10%? Why is baffling?
Pastor, it is our future is uncertain.
True.
And what baffling to me is that you're telling me, right? You know, I said last night, on my free time, I would Google these companies.
What companies?
That the current government is want to give contract to build house.
We ain't reached there yet. We're going there just now. Let me finish with the oil and gas now.
Well, I jumped. I won't jump the gun. Now, what I'm saying is that what really going on? Because we have two ministers of energy.
Yeah, Mr. Nistoki's, huh?
And we cannot get anything out of these individuals. We are trying to tell me, right?
I will go play something for you from the Minister of Energy made a statement.
Which one?
We name.
We have two. Which one?
We name your partner. Dr. Munilal. No, Dr. Mr. Kiza is your partner. All right. You see how things come out Trinidad and Tobago?
Kiza, my partner. Kiza, you know me?
We just said Kiza.
Kiza, you know me?
All right.
You give me a high profile partners, me. Anyhow, back to we have two ministers. We have Kiza and Munilal. Which one? Munilal talk about?
Yes, Dr. Munilal. Yeah, don't say that. Don't say that. He is Dr. Munilal. I seen what is on the man thing. Go ahead.
This man does never impress me. He talk about energy.
Well, listen what you're gonna say now and see if it impress you.
Alright, man. Still come off.
All right. Play it when you come off.
Yeah, welcome. I'll make space. I'll go on.
All right, okay. Take a listen to Trinidad and Tobago.
The Energy Minister tells TV6 News that following the government's discussions with Shell, there is to be an increase in production from the natural gas project he now calls Manatee Plus, which is set for first gas next year. This, as the Energy Minister says, equipment being transported by Shell in southeast Trinidad, as shown in a video circulating on social media, shows citizens can now see that significant work is being done in the energy sector. Jules Brown reports.
Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal tells TV6 News there is a new development in and an apparent new name for the exploration project being pursued by global energy giant Shell in the Manatee gas field located within Trinidad and Tobago's maritime boundary.
The Manatee Plus project is one of the major projects for which we are eagerly anticipating first gas. Following discussions with Shell, our new government, with the mandate from the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa to increase gas and oil production, we were able to increase the production expected from this project deemed Manatee Plus.
Minister Munilal was responding to a question from TV6 News about a video that has been circulating on social media of Shell's equipment being transported in Guagari along Trinidad's southeastern coast.
The transportation, as you have seen, of major processing equipment is a tangible element of this project, as citizens can now see that significant work is being done in the energy sector. It is always reassuring to see the physical elements of a development being constructed and installed, as it signals the development is becoming a reality.
Shell had previously stated the Manatee gas field will provide backfill for the Atlantic LNG facility in Point Fortin. Manatee belongs to the larger Loran Manatee gas field, with the larger portion, Loran, being located in Venezuela's waters. On its website, Shell notes that in 2019, the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the government of Venezuela terminated the unitization agreement and entered into another government-to-government agreement, allowing each country to independently develop its respective share of the Loran Manatee field. On July 9, 2024, Shell's Trinidad and Tobago subsidiary announced that it had taken a final investment decision on the Manatee project. Since being elected into office in 2025, the UNC-led government has said local natural gas production is projected to recover from what it called years of underperformance. In June of last year, Energy Minister Munilal said his ministry was very focused on working with Shell to ensure the safe delivery of the Manatee project and first gas by 2027. Dr. Munilal expressed more optimism on Monday in his comments to TV6 News.
The Manatee Plus project is continuing as per schedule, and the activities over the past couple of days is testament to the investments that are flowing into the country and particularly the energy sector. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the significant planning and logistics that would have gone into this operation, and we look forward to the production of first gas in the Manatee Plus project.
The Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago said on Monday that in reference to reporting by Reuters, Shell is set to sign a pact to take over operations and the development of the Loran field in Venezuela. Reuters has also reported that Shell plans to begin natural gas output in 2027 from the Loran Manatee offshore field. Jules Brown, TV6 News.
So you just heard from Jules Brown, TV6 News, talking about the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. The energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago, Jules Brown.
Fortunately for Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM administration spent 5 long, hard years in very complex commercial negotiations, where for the first time in the world, it was a global achievement. The PNM administration managed to restructure the shareholding and the arrangements of an LNG facility. Some of the benefits of that are the pricing formula that we actually got to apply to certain gas contracts from 2019, where we are now going to receive higher prices for some of the natural gas in Trinidad and Tobago using a formula, a basket that uses a price mechanism from Asia, a price mechanism from Europe, which, by the way, yesterday, because of the shutdown of the Qatar facility, their prices rose by over 50% to a third JKM, which is the Japanese Korean marker, which has also risen and today is at over $13 compared to the American marker Henry Hub, which is at $3. So immediately one marker is at 13. The European marker has risen by over 50% yesterday, and then we also worked in a component of Brent, a third. So that too, so our LNG prices, we will get better prices. We also managed to restructure and renegotiate shareholding in trains 2 and 3, where the people of Trinidad and Tobago previously had absolutely no shareholding. And in addition to that, to get cargoes from trains 2 and 3 and 4. So we now have a 10% shareholding.
A stern warning tonight for the leadership and staff of the National Gas Company. Former Energy Minister Stuart Young is putting the board and public servants on notice that they could face personal legal liability for following the government's lead. Young describes the current administration's handling of state energy revenues and cross-border negotiations as, quote, incompetent and dangerous. At an opposition media briefing, he accused the government of presenting unaudited accounts to Parliament to mask the true state of the country's energy security, warning those that at the NGC that following orders won't protect them from the law.
And I'm warning the staff at National Gas Company, you have fiduciary duties. You breach those along with the board of NGC and action will be taken against you, personally. So follow them to the end of the branch. And when it is cut off, expect what is to come.
Young insists that figures the Prime Minister recently presented as profit must be taken with a bag of salt, questioning if data was manipulated to project a false sense of fiscal health. Meanwhile, he expressed doubt that a government led by the Prime Minister could settle differences with Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, whom they previously described as a narco-trafficker. Young says TNT is now at the mercy of international companies and would be lucky to get crumbs.
Both the Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa as well as Munilal, who are relentlessly attacked the government of Venezuela and Her Excellency Delcy Rodriguez. You are persona non grata and can go nowhere, and you have done us a disservice and you have destroyed the potential returns for Trinidad and Tobago that would come to us, the people as shareholders.
Young again raised questions about who will represent TNT at cross-border discussions with the Venezuelan administration. The government previously said the details are being finalized.
In tonight's Business Watch, Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku says government's plans for the energy sector are proceeding ahead of schedule.
However, opposition MP Stuart Young contends government policies are impacting the Point Lisas industrial estate. Peter Christopher has more.
Finance Minister Dave Tanku says the government's economic plans have been given an unexpected push by the conflict in the Middle East. The minister made this declaration during a conversation with Atlantic Council during the IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. The minister says the revenue spike as a result of the conflict has meant key developments in the energy sector have occurred ahead of schedule.
We were operating outside of this incident, and the expectation was that by 2027 and 2027 into 2028, the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, at least the energy sector of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the largest foreign exchange generator, would have started to pick up and move upwards. We would have been working with the United States in terms of accessing gas in Venezuela as well. Those initiatives were outside of this Middle East event.
However, in a press conference today, former Energy Minister Stuart Young says the government's policies, which place primary focus on LNG returns, may have an adverse impact on other industries in the energy sector. Last year, Nutrien announced a temporary shutdown of its ammonia plant's operations at Point Lisas due to limited gas supply and a breakdown in negotiations with the government. Young says with similar challenges facing other companies, other plants in the industrial estate may follow suit.
People are not understanding, we are not appreciating the shutdown of Nutrien, how significant it is. And that is all driven by the shallow short-sightedness of, well, if I can move the molecules of gas that I would normally give to Nutrien and normally give to the plants on Point Lisas and put it in the LNG equation that I've just explained to Trinidad and Tobago, I'll make more money. But you are destroying Point Lisas today.
Young says this could lead to more companies choosing to take these plants abroad and ultimately would lead to additional job losses in the country. And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices.
The opposition is calling for a criminal investigation into what they describe as a sophisticated bid rigging scheme within the Housing Development Corporation.
At the center of the storm, claims that massive contracts were steered toward firms with no construction history and close ties to the UNC administration. Therese Polo reports.
Yes, they say that they were in fulfillment of the procurement laws. Not true.
The denial is as blunt as the accusation. Former Prime Minister and current opposition MP Stuart Young is pulling back the curtain on a $3.4 billion housing initiative that he says bypasses the spirit of the law. At the top of the list, Motilal Ramhit and Sons awarded a staggering $1 billion HDC contract. California Stucco Company Limited followed with $445 million and Hakim Hussein Construction with $410 million. But Young alleges the numbers are only half the story. He claims several of these 11 firms were incorporated as recently as this year, lacking any documented track record in large-scale residential construction. He also claims some of the owners are closely linked to government officials.
We in the PNM are calling for a criminal investigation into this procurement process. We are also going to be challenging the Office of the Procurement Regulator and looking at the legality of this, because selective tendering is not to be abused. You can't say, well, I'm selecting 4 persons who you know are not qualified to give it to the 5th, who is.
That mechanism, selective tendering, is now under the microscope. Unlike open tendering, where any qualified firm can bid, this process limits invitations to a pre-approved list. Young argues this was used to create the facade of competition, while ensuring specific favored firms secured the lion's share of taxpayers' funds. The political heat is now rising as the opposition contrasts this multi-billion-dollar payout with the state's struggle to meet its basic obligations.
$1 billion where you're not even paying the nurses, you're not paying public servants on time. You find $3.4 billion to give out in this manner.
Several questions have been sent to the Office of the Procurement Regulator to determine if oversight was breached. So far, the Prime Minister and Housing Minister David Lee have failed to respond to attempts to contact them. However, Minister in the Housing Ministry Philip Edward Alexander on Tuesday defended the process, insisting it was done in accordance with established laws. Doris Polo, CNC3 News.
The Privy Council has denied TN Ramnath and Company Limited, its principal Taradat Ramnath, Calco Limited, Motilal Ramhit and Sons Contracting Limited, and Fides Limited permission to appeal a Court of Appeal decision. The Privy Council has denied TN Ramnath and Company Limited, its principal Taradat Ramnath, Calco Limited, Motilal Ramhit and Sons Contracting Limited, and Fides Limited permission to appeal a Court of Appeal decision. This ruling dismissed their applications to strike out Estate Management and Business Development Companies Limited (EMBD's) case or compel EMBD to provide further details. EMBD's case involves claims of unlawful conspiracy, bribery, dishonest assistance, and breach of fiduciary duty related to 12 civil work contracts awarded shortly before the 2015 general election. EMBD seeks to recover $275 million and declare the contracts void due to illegality. The lawsuit also involves counterclaims from contractors seeking payment for work under these contracts, and it names former government minister Dr. Rudal Munilal among the defendants. Following the Privy Council's decision, the case will proceed to trial under Mr. Justice C. Prasad, with defendants, including Dr. Munilal, are now required to file their defenses by November 6, 2024. Previous efforts to stop the trial were rejected by the High Court in August 2020 and the Court of Appeal in January 2024.
Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the world. What say you on this issue? What do you think? What is your thoughts? 464-7003 464-7003. I take your calls. All right, I take your calls. 464-7003. What's your thoughts? A caller called yesterday and he said that he hoped that the PNM will do just what the UNC used to do with matters like these. Yeah, 10%.
Pastor, that.
Yes, 10%.
Saying?
Yes, 10%.
Pastor, I saw that with the Buddha. That don't impress me. No way.
What do impress you 10%? What?
Shell, a multinational company moving machinery in Trinidad. That impressed me. You take credit for that. That had to do with policy. All that was put in place before you were even thought of being minister of energy. So that already shocked me. And you cannot tell me you are a responsible minister of energy. You stand behind a company and hoping them get a contract to make the revenue to this country. Now, last time I checked, Shell, BP, anybody, them don't come on tax. Them answering to the shareholders. Whereas with the last government, the government, not the company, the government was in direct negotiation of getting value, getting gas to the Trinidad. The gas we so desperately need right now. So you as a minister of energy cannot impress me by that, by we just social media. That being said, I said yesterday I would be googling for some of those companies.
Yes, that's 10%.
Right, I did.
And what did you come up?
Right?
What did you come up
right.
with? What did you come up with, Mr.
10%? This is the fourth month in the year, right?
Yes, sir.
You know quite a few of those companies. I don't want to name them because I don't have problems. But at least 5 of them only came into existence this year.
But 10%. Mr. Young said that today.
Well, when he's not lying, I tell I want to Google them.
But 10%.
He's not lying.
put 10%. Listen to this. Listen to me. While I understand, I think we need to encourage the opposition to continue to publicly, because I saw Ms. Regis did a statement. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I saw where Ms. Regis put out a statement today at the press conference. Mr. Young said, hey, we are going to continue to pursue this, and I think I encourage the opposition to continue to pursue this.
I do also. I am in total agreement. The office of the government have to explain what is going on.
I would have asked my member of parliament to give us some time next week. I spoke to him today. I asked him if he can give us some time next week to explain to us the role and function of the procurement or and stuff like that. How is the bidding? How does and the preferred bidders and all these different things. Let's get into it. Let us go after them.
Yeah, because I first saw they said that they'll be challenging. They'll be challenging in court, and I first saw they have to do that.
Yes,
because
I am saying to you, that we're trying to make sure that your back pay is sure, and to make sure that your salary is maintained 10%.
I am not selling new area. I was Springs. I selling them. I'm saying to you, rightfully so. If you can't find money to pay nurses the incentives, how you find money to get people contracts to build houses, and then some of them never important in their life, and we don't have no where they want to build a house, east, west, north, or south. We don't know.
Most likely central the houses will be built 10%.
So all 11 contractors go and build houses in central, right? Okay, all right.
You know, I just said most likely. I'm not certain about that.
All right. Okay. That being said, what I'm saying, how you find all that money and you cannot pay nurses the incentive? You can't pay teachers, where with them? So apparently now teachers now, according to your long-time colleague now that dance. According to by his judgment, so teachers now is paying too.
Did you call in a show today and ask him that?
I would never call him. And he would not take me because when I hear my voice, he gonna cut me off. He talk to him. Because he can't dialogue with me, so he wouldn't allow me on his show. When I used to call his show long time, he used to cut me off.
Oh, okay.
He can't dialogue with me.
Okay, I thought I was your friend.
None of my friends, we know each other, but we're not friends that have me his friends because we know each other.
Okay.
But he would not, as he hear my voice, he gonna cut me off. Because he can't dialogue with me. He can't dialogue with me because I will ask him questions and he wouldn't. He just begin to pay him to phone and cut him off.
Alright.
But I am saying, this is something and I'm so glad the opposition not letting go this. You observe that Mr. Sabi's sister, and I said they really ducking. You observe they not signing the press, the ducking. And I applaud the opposition to challenge this in court because somebody had to explain this. You can't pay teachers and nurses, but you find money to give people belong to contract to build houses where?
But you're talking about just pay teachers, about nurses and teachers, and what about TSTT workers who they want to give them $15,000 gratuity? And,
you telling me?
And no
you
COLA,
telling me?
No back pay, no nothing.
After all them, is that people
but the time men who get more than that for singing every night in Flavor.
Well, yeah. I can't talk about him because I like back. So let talk about him.
Well, he talked to you?
How you can talk to me?
I know you friend. I know you are friends with these people, you know. So I don't want to.
He wouldn't talk to me because he wouldn't talk to me.
All right, sir.
But you telling me, right? Oh, you can't find money to do basic certain things, but you find all that money to take it all on the go. And there are certain company. If I go there, certain company, I pay close attention to. Right in Salamele Marbella.
Have a good evening, sir. I live in South. I want my name called. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, good night, Pastor. We got 10% pulling our man. We need water in the morning.
Pastor. How you know that? How you know 10% personally?
That my neighbor.
Okay.
I can't call you the government name money.
Nah, don't call it. Keep him as 10%.
I'm going to do him that.
That will 10% friend.
Only was the last program it was about Pastor. Oh, every duty and Kingsley shocked me, you know.
That is the same.
From the state media, from calling the time I can't call that program again, ground report, no program.
Wow.
Kingsley call that shot. Yeah, government taxpayers money, you know.
Wow.
Must say good night to Bataria. I feel today might be illegal because you get a warning, you know. Because Bataria calling back to back and talking, and like he get a call and he say, well, this is as state media, Bataria to talk, like somebody call him in the background, and if it's so foot call him, or Iron. You know so foot?
No.
Some Santa.
Okay.
All them playing our part.
Okay.
But Pastor Google, I see all them contractors and them bidding. You see them kind of players, boy?
You see the kind of money?
I want to have my P&M father get back a little contract, boy.
Nope. Nobody who got contract under the P&M under the NHGC got back contracts. Yeah. All of them contracts were cut. And you know what? They still ain't get their money yet.
Yeah, boy, because right now you and me about 5 fortnights now, but I'm tell me that man put bread in the last time that campaign so hard, I vex me that man so late. Well, because I campaign so hard to put that man who was put my little bread on my little table for the 2-3 months I met him there. But Pastor Google, I see a piece of corruption going in the back by me Monday gone there. I ain't lying, the UNC real wet in it. Them don't really care about African people, them care about the people, you know. I see them come to a patch. 3 things in there. You know they bring to a patch that? Junior Sammy, you know. Bring spreader and roller, you know. I said, that is a dread piece of corruption. Them could have bring the borough just to put another hot mix and a man come and tell you rake out that, you know.
Well, man, things are
as Rolly, but second I said, Dr. Who dead, who live. What I like, Pastor Kula, I said, man, I know I was campaigning at the last week, I was the call for betterment. It's my own colleagues that are victimized, but no. Every duty and Kingsley are coming for them. The wicked, I'm more wicked.
I hear you. Later. The views expressed by the caller is not the views of Constructive Talk, neither the host or the production team. Alright? Let's lay on now. Mr. Sammy, these views is not my views, eh? I'm begging you, please, don't come for me. 464-7003 464-7003. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Yes, sir.
Tunapuna here. You see what we have to go through?
So wait now, Tunapuna in the house?
Yeah, you see what we have to go through, your partner now?
Yeah. But you understand, Tunapuna, how we in this position too?
Well, I can understand what kind of mistake they make here. Eh? What kind of mistake? Right through this country's mistake. And we, I don't know what to say.
But sir, how you can say that?
Yeah, but sir, could say what she want.
But sir,
the Prime Minister could do what she want.
Yeah, but sir, how you can say that mistake? But sir,
them are jumping ship, them are going nowhere, you know. Them taking what she's saying, and when voting time come, them day, you know. We too thin skin. Any little small thing, we jumping, we going, we carrying on, we getting on. You see that? I voted for it. And they only laughing at me. Look where it reached to. Yeah? And that's why I version. This talk about Caribbean and she had to get some corruption out of that. Why do you get corruption out of your own party? Only there is versions one after the next. We have more important things to study now. Look at the situation people in now. Because some people too lightheaded and they only want to hear money and they go on there. I have people working master, nothing yet. So 10% in line, nothing. And they know when they're getting it. Why we had to go through this now? Because of what? Some people who just decide, well, look, we're going so. We're getting 10%, we're going so. And they're studying for today and they're studying for tomorrow. Nothing for tomorrow, please God, you know, they're studying that. So look which part we reach now. Look at the problems we're in. But God is great, don't worry. God testing me out.
4 more
Everything
years.
is for a while.
4 more years to go.
Yeah. All right.
4 more years to go, caller.
All right, Pastor. We will see.
Yeah, I think the same for that. Yeah,
we will see.
Caller, it's 4 more years.
All right.
Kadisha,
And they start already, eh?
Yeah.
They start the thing from 2010. They start all the thing to look into thief money all over the place, eh? They start already, eh?
Kadisha, right. I mean, tell you, she say, Mr. Speaker, I see them in the CPEP's jersey, and they still vote for me.
Imagine that. Yeah, brave and bold.
Yeah.
I wonder how these CPEP people, what they're telling themselves now. And majority of them struggling. What they're telling themselves now.
I'm going to take this call.
Yeah, right.
Hello, good evening. Oh, Lord. Caller, call me back. Call me back, caller. Kadisha say it in the parliament, you know. She said, Mr. Speaker, I see them in the CPEP's jersey. She said CPEP's, eh? I quoted after Kadisha. Kadisha said, Mr. Speaker, I see them in the CPEP's jersey and they still vote for me. I say, wow. Oh, let's take that. Me and you know, you call in 91.1?
Hello?
Not me and you know, you're calling 91.1?
Oh, yeah. What I mean, Pastor, I have to, because when I hear things, talking some kind of talk with you, I had to call things and tell things like, Trinidad and Tobago is such a place and Trinidad. I say, you forget what they tell you citizens. What? Why it is all them bloggers so upset? They're upset because for the city government was using the police service to generate revenue. Apparently, that is what they're doing now. The Prime Minister said you can't tax yourself in a bucket and tax.
So what did he say? I know all what you tell him. What did he say?
Well, the man started talking rubbish. I said, but you know, they can't start telling lies. So, Eventually, somebody called them or tell them, I shouldn't call and he respond. But, you know something? So that person who's down next day, I called after. I said, so let me ask you. I see in the parliament we are getting $300 and something million to go towards housing. Here is the explanation. It's a private, how it is? Private public partnership or something like that. That means it's government and private. So then if that is private, why are we going to parliament to get $300 something million? Oh, we ain't got no money from the parliament. These people are then putting up their money. I said, so let me ask you. These people are putting up the $300 something million to build houses? Yes. I said, so where's the cost of one of these houses? Because nobody can tell me where the house is going. Where's the cost if these houses are for low income owners? Because I remember Victoria Key was supposed to be for low income owners. Up comes the People's Partnership.
So what did he say?
Yes, explanation. It's a public-private partnership. That means government is not putting out
the government is putting out the money. When you watch it on the HEC letterhead and you watch to see the contractors and the HEC, you heard what Philip Alexander said? You ain't not argue with them out. You have to tell them that the minister said it.
I allow the man to speak because his explanation is that we don't understand what is public-private partnership.
Yeah, but the minister did not say that. Philip Alexander did not say that.
Tomorrow, please God, I will draw his attention. So what's that? So let me
play for you what Philip said so that when you call him tomorrow, you'll tell him. But I listened to the minister in the Ministry of Housing, and what he said, he did not say it was a private. It was a public-private.
You're not say that. And here what is more egregious about this is not an open tender, you know. This is SEDEC tender. So I call you, I call John, I call Paul, I call Harry. This is not open tender where anybody. It was published. It was published if that is the case, but it was not open tender. It was
all right, let me play it for you now.
You got
yeah. Nonsense I'm talking. There's a level of tomfoolery and lies.
My colleague here. So what I wanted to get was your response to Camille Robinson-Reggie's criticisms of the HEC contracts that were recently given out. Specifically, she criticized the lay time period, saying that it was too short, 10 days versus the standard 15 to 12. She has also criticized it for there being a lack of transparency.
I'm not sure where the lack of transparency would come in because we operate under the procurement legislation, so everything has to be transparent and above board. I'm not sure about the 2 days that she's asking about. Again, that seems to be splitting hairs. I honestly believe that is arguing for arguing's sake. There's nothing wrong with the contracts that were issued, and let her pursue it wherever she thinks she needs to pursue it.
Do you believe that the criteria would have been fairly reflected of the capacity needed to deliver these large-scale housing projects?
Absolutely. I mean, Camille Robinson-Reggie was in government when somebody jumped out of cloth business and started to build properties for the state, and they did a good job. Everybody should have an opportunity to do as well. And that's what we believe. I think that due diligence would have been done by the management and board of the HEC. We have to stand with that.
On what basis were the 11 contractors selected?
I wouldn't be able to answer that because we don't get involved in that aspect of it.
Are you surprised that the government has found evidence linking local organizations to so-called, terrorist entities like Hezbollah, Hamas, and IRGC?
I have to hold my personal opinion on that because that's not my way.
Going back to HEC, sorry. Can you let us know where these developments will be?
Again,
that was something else that Robinson-Reggie's criticized. That there was no saying.
That there is a lot of information already in the public space about it. The contracts were awarded transparently. If there are questions that she wants to ask specifically
she should direct them to the HTC. I don't think I should be putting that information out in the public space here. That wouldn't be correct.
Mr. Speaker, it have plenty people who vote for me who work CPEMs and I see them in their red jersey, but they voted for the UNC and voted for the UNC.
Hello, caller.
Yes, hello, good night, Pastor Google. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I think you, as usual, raising a number of key issues. If you remember, number one, every crisis can be linked to a missing conversation. Every single crisis can be linked to a missing conversation. Imagine you're in a classroom and you're depending on a teacher. You have an exam to take. You're depending on the teacher to give you the right information and you are being fed wrong information. What do you think is going to happen during the examination? Right? So tonight we saw another masterclass by Stuart Young. The gentleman kept asking for the audited, where the audited financial statements when it comes to procurement and that type of stuff. In the public domain, you're basically dealing with presumptions. This whole argument of public and private is such a critically important one. Another masterclass was put on by the mayor of Port of Spain, coming and giving the breakdown. This is every crisis can be linked to a missing conversation. The man went into debt, into depth as to the different processes and things with the EBC and different things. Again, these fellas really putting on a masterclass, but the issue is, in this country, if you are not familiar with contract law, commercial law, trust law, copper smoke a pipe. Because all the current government is putting out is misinformation. It's a misinformation campaign. So you're going to fail when it comes to the examination. You're not going to pass. This is the other thing. The country runs on NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Everything is hidden. So you cannot make right decisions with wrong information, and it's a missing. Look at Daniel Roberts. Pastor Google, here's the place that you're at. When you start your program, you put up a disclaimer. You don't have to give the disclaimer verbally after that. The disclaimer is notice the agent is notice the principal. Notice the principal is notice the agent. What is the due process of law? You have to give a notice and then an opportunity to cure, right? And then you could go from there. You posted your notice, go to any parking lot, and you'll see a notice posted there. So if you choose to park there, they could point to the notice and say, but look, the notice there. The issue that we're having, especially from a party perspective, is that we are missing conversation, critical bits of information that's missing. I'll give you an example and I'll leave with that. You have the budget. You have the finance minister talking about the budget and whatnot, right? The budget is just a smoke screen. You don't ever hear anybody talking about the comprehensive annual financial report. You want to know about the ETC? Ask them about the comprehensive annual financial report. So it's very, very basic. Every crisis can be linked to a missing conversation, and I said it before. What you're seeing here is state capture. There's a concept called state capture. It took place in South Africa with the Gupta brothers, right? This is basic 101 playbook for state capture. The state has been captured. Then you're going to have bubble with bidding and all of. They captured the state, and it was allowed to happen because why? People don't understand. How come nobody not selling a notice of liability? You know what Stuart Young said tonight? He said, he will hold the board because of the fiduciary. These people they are measured. What safeguards are in place to protect against personal injury, property damage, breach of contract? The things are there. Right, so keep up the good work, Pastor Google. Are waiting for the critical thought. I really appreciate how
the young people.
You posted the thing with the young men giving their input from a critical thinking standpoint.
Yeah, man.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Trinidad and Tobago. So here's where I have to say my good night. My thank you for being a part of Constructive Talk this evening. We thank Commander Dindial and thank all of you for calling in and being a part of the discussion. Just reminding you to make your contributions to any First Citizen Bank at 2417963. All right, any First Citizen Bank, make your contributions to keep Constructive Talk live on YouTube. All right, again, let me say thank you to all of you for being a part of the discussion this evening. Talk to you guys tomorrow, please God. Yep, tomorrow we're going to be on. I'm supposed to have a guest on from Tobago.
Coming soon to Constructive Talk Network, Critical Thinkers. It's a youth show with a youth perspective on current affairs and issues in Trinidad and Tobago. Critical Thinkers, youth perspective on Constructive Talk. Final Hour Christian Ministries invites you to their annual Visitors Day service. End of days. Where are we in 2026? On Saturday, April 25th, 2026 at 11 a.m. Mandela Hall Center of Excellence with Pastor Mackenzie and the Final Hour family. See you there.
The information provided by the speakers and or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.